Chapter 78. You're not even going to take a look? Fong Hung couldn't help but ask. There's no need to look. Do as you wish. However, this painting is indeed authentic. You don't have to doubt it. I believe you. Also, if you find any treasures in the future, you can come to me. I can definitely give you a reasonable price, Wong Howard said. Then you'll have to prepare a few $100 million or even a few billion. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to pay the bill, Fong Hung said. Don't worry. I'll take as much as you give me. All right, that's what you said. Fong Hung was delighted. Those antiques were the most valuable. He felt that if he continued to search for treasures, it wouldn't be long before he emptied Wong Howard's family fortune. When that time came, Wong Howard wouldn't have any money to take, and he would be able to ruthlessly mock him. Come out for a moment. There's something I want to talk to you about. Fong Xian secretly sent a message to Wong Howard with a worried expression. The two of them came to an empty ward. There was no one else around. Fong Xian asked curiously, You've already given me 10 million. Why did you promise my brother to take any treasures he finds in the future? What else can I do? If I don't take them, who will take them? When he asks an expert, he'll know that the previous ones are fake. Then, how do you explain the 10 million he got? Tell him that you earned it? Wong Howard tried to fool her and asked Fong Xian instead. Fong Xian was stunned. Her mind was in a mess just now, and her thoughts were complicated. She really didn't think of this problem. Now that Wong Howard said this, Fong Xian couldn't help but admire Wong Howard. His consideration of the situation was very appropriate and thoughtful. But after you became a scammer twice, my brother naively thinks that he can really identify treasures. If he finds treasures in the future, are you really going to continue to spend millions to buy them? Fong Xian realized another problem. What a joke, spend money to buy them. How could this be? I will continue to buy antiques, but I will transfer the money to you, Wong Howard said. Fong Xian suddenly understood. Wong Howard did not need to give her a single cent, but she could lie and tell her brother that she had received the money. If his younger brother asked for money, he could find an excuse to evade him. After all, her younger brother still respected her as his elder sister. If she didn't want to take it out, her younger brother definitely wouldn't force it. Fong Xian thought that Wong Howard's idea was brilliant. You're so smart. No wonder your grades are so good. Fong Xian couldn't help but praise her. Ding! The host has successfully tricked the female lead, Fong Xian, and influenced the plot. The host has received 200 villain points. Fong Hang's protagonist aura a -10, and the host's villain aura +10. Wong Howard smiled secretly. Of course I'm smart. In the future, I can buy all the antiques that Fong Hung finds for free. Then I can resell them and make a huge profit. I'll become a billionaire or even a billionaire. It's all up to Fong Hung now. After leaving the hospital, Wong Howard sat in Ku Linen's car and went to the hotel where he usually stayed. As soon as he opened the door, a beautiful figure pounced on him. Outside, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. Inside, the flames of war were raging. Time passed quietly. When Wong Howard picked up his phone and looked at it, he found that it was already midnight. Wen Jing was so tired that she fell asleep. She was as obedient as a kitten. Although Chu Bai was dead, Su Muyan's affection towards him was also very high. Wen Jing was no longer of much value to him. However, Wong Howard didn't become ruthless and directly abandon her. Wen Jing was so obedient. She would do whatever he asked her to do and wouldn't cause him any trouble. Compared to those female leads, Wong Howard felt that being with Wen Jing was the most stressful, comfortable, and pleasant. Wong Howard wasn't sleepy at the moment, so he opened the attribute panel and looked at it. The villain points had increased to a new high of 3,600 points. He spent another 3,000 villain points in exchange for 6 years of internal strength. At the same time, the attribute panel also changed. Host, Wong Howard, combat strength, 829. Charm value, 268. Villain aura, 651. Villain points, 600 skills. Master level painting and calligraphy copying skills. Master level practical Wing Chun. God level singing skills. Oscar level acting skills. X-ray vision. Advanced poison skills. Top level hacking skills. 12 years of internal strength. The next morning, in the interrogation room, Xiao Yifeng was in a very bad mood, and his mental state was not good. The temperature of the air conditioning in the interrogation room was too low. He needed to circulate his internal strength to drive away the cold, so he didn't have a good rest last night. Moreover, the chair in the interrogation room was hard. After sitting for so long, even his butt was numb. In addition, after he came in yesterday, he didn't even drink a drop of water, let alone food. It was very uncomfortable. Therefore, when someone came to work this morning, Xiao Yifeng shouted loudly. There were surveillance cameras in the interrogation room, so the people outside could see the movements made by Xiao Yifeng. Not long after, Ling Duanyao walked in. "You're willing to confess?" "I can, but I'm very hungry now. Get some water and food," Ling Duanyao said to her colleague. Not long after, water and food were brought over. Xiao Yifeng had a full meal and was very satisfied as he rubbed his bulging stomach. "Speak." Ling Duanyao turned on the interrogation recorder. "What do you want to say?" Xiao Yifeng used his small nails to shave his teeth. With a bang, there was another sound of the table being slammed. "Are you playing with me?" Ling Duanyao said angrily. "Don't be angry, I'll talk. Xiao Yifeng said with a smile. "Beauty, you're sick, and it's not light. Ordinary people can't treat it, but I can. I just need a massage. There's no pain at all. I guarantee that you'll be cured." Ling Duanyao took a deep breath and resisted the urge to hit him. She was sick, but with Wang Haoren's treatment, she wasn't worried at all. This Xiao Yifeng was talking about some massage treatment. He simply wanted to take advantage of her on purpose. It was the same treatment, but Wang Haoren only said to use medicine. He didn't say that she needed a massage treatment. Xiao Yifeng said that she needed a massage. This was obviously nonsense. "You can continue to stay here and enjoy the air conditioning." Ling Duanyao didn't want to waste any more time with Xiao Yifeng. "Beauty, you have to believe me. Your illness can't be treated by ordinary people. In the whole of Qingling City, there's no one else who can treat your illness. If you don't accept my treatment, you'll be paralyzed." Bang! The sound of the door closing directly stopped Xiao Yifeng's chatter. Outside the interrogation room. "The guy inside will be detained for 36 hours. During this time, don't give him water or food," Ling Duanyao said to a new colleague in the interrogation room. "Sister Ling, I'm afraid this is against the rules." The colleague was a little doubtful. This guy is very sneaky. There's no need to follow the rules when dealing with people like him. "I'll take responsibility if anything happens," Ling Duanyao said. "Okay, Sister Ling," the colleague agreed. Chapter 79. After Ling Duanyao finished talking to her new colleague, she was ready to go back to work. But her boss suddenly sent someone to pass on a message. He asked Ling Duanyao to release Xiao Yifeng. Ling Duanyao went to the office to ask for the reason, only to find out that Qin Kai found a lawyer to bail Xiao Yifeng out. In desperation, Ling Duanyao could only release him. "Beauty, I'll go first. If you need treatment, you can find me at any time. I'll be at your door 24 hours a day." Xiao Yifeng regained his freedom and only felt particularly carefree. Before leaving, he still wanted to take advantage of Ling Duanyao. "Get out!" Ling Duanyao snorted coldly. Her expression and attitude were extremely cold, even with a kind of deep disgust. Xiao Yifeng was deflated. The playful smile on his face slowly disappeared. Helplessly followed the lawyer to the limousine. In the car, Qin Kai was waiting for him. "The admission matter is settled." Qin Kai slightly frowned and said, "Can I be admitted?" "That's great." Xiao Yifeng was very excited and jumped from his seat. Seeing this, Qin Kai looked at him in surprise. "I feel that I can finally better protect the eldest miss, so I'm very happy." Xiao Yifeng quickly calmed down and explained with a smile. In fact, the reason why he was so excited was that he could finally spend time with the eldest miss. With the opportunity to spend time with the eldest miss, it was not far from stealing the eldest miss. It would be strange if he was not excited. "Although you can be admitted, there is a small problem," Qin Kai said. "What small problem?" "After you enter the school, you and Yunhan will not be in the same class." "Not in the same class?" Xiao Yifeng was a little disappointed, but soon recovered and said, "In the same grade, it's fine." "Not in the same grade." Qin Kai's face became strange. "Second year of high school?" Xiao Yifeng asked in surprise. "It's Chu Yi," Qin Kai said with difficulty. "What?" Xiao Yifeng turned pale with fright. You want me to study in year one? What kind of joke is this? He was already 19 years old. If he were to study in the same class as a group of 11 or 12-year-old children, others might think that he was retarded and laugh their heads off. Although the Tang Lao has agreed to enroll you in the school, he wants you to follow the normal procedures. You haven't studied much in the village, so your education level can't reach the level of a senior high school student. At most, you can only study in the first year of junior high school, Qin Kai said earnestly. He wanted to put Xiao Yifeng in Qin Yunhan's class, but he couldn't talk to Tang Lao at all. This was something that couldn't be helped. Although it was the first year of junior high school, the junior high school and the senior high school were on the same campus. It was better to let Xiao Yifeng sneak into the school to protect it than to let him stay outside. Uncle Qin, look at my age. Is it appropriate for me to study in the first year of junior high school? Xiao Yifeng said with a face full of reluctance. Of course not, but you're not really going there to study. You're going to protect Yunhan. It doesn't matter what grade you study in. But no buts. As long as you can protect Yunhan, I'll make it up to you, Qin Kai persuaded. Then okay. Xiao Yifeng reluctantly agreed. Although he might be laughed at for studying in the first year of junior high school at his age, it was definitely worth it if he could save the young mistress a few times and make her have a good impression of him. At the same time, ding! The host manipulated behind the scenes, causing the protagonist Xiao Yifeng to study in the first year of junior high school, affecting the direction of the plot. Obtained 200 villain points. Wang Haoran, who had just arrived at the door of the classroom, suddenly received a system prompt message. I'll get someone to send you to school, Qin Kai said. No need. It's not far from the school. I can walk there myself. Xiao Yifeng was not in a good mood and wanted to walk. Okay then, Qin Kai nodded. After Xiao Yifeng got out of the car, he walked along the road and walked in the direction of the school. On the way, he passed by a park. It was early in the morning. The air in the park was very fresh. Xiao Yifeng walked into the park and sat on the park bench for a while to breathe in the fresh air and adjust his mood. After an unknown amount of time, an old man who was running in the morning passed by and also sat down on the bench. He saw that the old man's face was slightly pale and his breathing was rapid. Seeing this, Xiao Yifeng immediately stood up and gave the old man a massage. In less than 2 minutes, the old man's face returned to normal and his breathing became stable. Young man, thank you, the old man said gratefully. It's nothing. Xiao Yifeng waved his hand and reminded him, Old man, you're so old. It's better not to go out in the morning. It's very dangerous. It's because I'm old that I want to exercise more. Otherwise, my old bones will rust. The old man sighed. Although you're right, your method is wrong. Young man, your massage technique just now was quite good. Do you know medicine? The old man asked in surprise. I've been studying medicine since I was a child. I dare not say that my medical skills are the best in the world, but it's definitely not a problem to say that I'm the second best. Xiao Yifeng said proudly. He knew that he was not bragging. In his heart, the old man's medical skills were the best in the world. As the only successor, he had learned 80 or even 90% of the old man's true teachings. It was definitely not a problem to say that he was the second best. Young man, may I ask, how should I train? Seeing that the other party was so confident, the old man could not help but ask for advice. I'll teach you a set of Jiuduan brocade. This suits you. Xiao Yifeng replied after thinking for a while. I've heard of Jiuduan brocade, but I've only heard of Jiuduan brocade. The old man's face was full of surprise. This is an improvement on the basis of Jiuduan brocade. However, the training effect is at least 5 times better than Jiuduan brocade. Old man, watch carefully. I'll show you once. Xiao Yifeng said as he immediately got up from the bench and displayed his posture. This was a set of slow training methods that looked similar to campus gymnastics. However, when Xiao Yifeng, who had internal force, performed it with great vigor, there were faint phantoms between the movements of his hands and feet. It was like a hero in a martial arts drama demonstrating his martial arts. The old man was shocked. Before, he was skeptical of Xiao Yifeng's words. At this moment, all the doubts in his heart were gone. This young man was definitely not a simple person. Heroes come from young. After he finished performing, Xiao Yifeng retracted his stance and asked, "Did you remember it? This old man is stupid. I only remember half of it." The old man was ashamed. "It's not bad that you can remember half of it. However, I have to report to school, so it's inconvenient for me to continue teaching you." Xiao Yifeng said, "The school nearby is Water Luster High School. You're going there?" The old man asked. "Yes." Xiao Yifeng nodded. "My granddaughter is also studying there. She's about the same age as you. Maybe you'll meet again." The old man smiled. "Then what's your granddaughter's name?" Xiao Yifeng asked casually. "Her surname is Mu. Her name is Mu Zhao Zhao. This old man's name is Mu Zhong." The old man replied. "Mu Zhao Zhao." Xiao Yifeng was shocked. Wasn't this the young lady's best friend? It turned out that the old man in front of him was actually Mu Zhao Zhao's grandfather. "Old Master Mu, I see that we're fated. I'll teach you Jaduinjin in the afternoon when I'm free. It's right here in the park. Do you have time this afternoon?" After learning that the old man was Mu Zhao Zhao's grandfather, Xiao Yifeng's attitude became much warmer. This old man has lived for so long. Coincidentally, it's my birthday today. I'm afraid. Mu Zhong was suddenly put in a difficult position. "How about this? I'll come find you." Xiao Yifeng changed his words. "That's great." Mu Zhong nodded with a smile. Xiao Yifeng also smiled. He was even happier than Mu Zhong. As his granddaughter, Mu Zhao Zhao would definitely be present for Mu Zhong's birthday. According to Qin Kai, the Qin family and Mu Zhao Zhao's family were on good terms. Qin Yunhan might also be present. Mu Zhong had a favor to ask of him. When he showed off his skills, he would definitely impress the young lady in Mu Zhao Zhao. Chapter 80. Before the morning class, Qin Yunhan finished washing up and was about to ask Mu Zhao Zhao to go to the classroom together. "Sister Yunhan, what do you think of my calligraphy?" Mu Zhao Zhao carefully spread out the long paper on the table, revealing a piece of calligraphy. The words on it were a birthday wish. Mu Zhao Zhao had stayed up all night to finish writing it. She had written it no less than 30 times, and this was the best piece of calligraphy she had ever written. If Grandpa Mu knew that you only slept for 2 or 3 hours last night just to write a beautiful piece of calligraphy for him, he would definitely be grinning from ear to ear. He wouldn't care how well you wrote, Qin Yunhan said. "This is very important. My grandfather is a famous calligrapher. He taught me how to write. If I don't write well, wouldn't I embarrass him? I don't know anything about calligraphy. To be honest, I think the ones you wrote are all pretty good. I can't tell the difference." Qin Yunhan smiled embarrassedly. "Forget it. I'll choose this one." Mu Zhao Zhao dismissed the idea of asking Qin Yunhan for advice. She directly chose the one she thought was the best and carefully rolled it up. "Sister Yunhan, let's go. Let's have breakfast and go to class after that." Mu Zhao took out the key and was about to lock the door. Qin Yunhan walked out of the room and said, "Don't eat anymore. Don't eat anymore. It's better to leave some for the birthday banquet. It's Mu Zhao Zhao's grandfather's birthday today." Hearing the conversation in the earpiece, Wang Haoren received an important piece of news. Wang Haoren guessed. There was a high chance that Mu Zhong's birthday banquet would not be too peaceful. Because looking at those urban novels, places like KTVs, bars, and birthday banquets were the most popular places for the protagonists to show off and embarrass themselves. Mu Zhong was also a supporting character. In addition, the 2 female leads, Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhao Zhao, would be present at the birthday banquet. The possibility of a plot happening was extremely high. With that in mind, Wang Haoren immediately took out his phone and called Wang Xiang. "My dear son, are you short of money? How much do you want?" "I'll call you directly," Wang Xiang said directly after answering the phone. "I'm not short of money. I have something to ask you. Do you know Mu Tsong? Did Mu Tsong offend you? He's really tired of living. He's just a calligrapher, yet he dares to be so arrogant. He's simply courting death. My dear son, tell me, how do you want me to deal with him?" Wang Xiang said furiously. Wang Haoren was surprised by Wang Xiang's train of thought. "He didn't offend me. I know that it's his birthday today, so I want to ask if you know him. If you know him, I want to borrow your name and go with you to the birthday celebration. I can't say that I know him, but I have a friend who bought calligraphy from him. I've seen him a few times before. That's fine. Prepare a congratulatory gift and bring a medical team and a bodyguard team to celebrate Mu Tsung's birthday. I understand the gift, but what do you mean by bringing a medical team and a bodyguard team? Don't worry about it. Just bring them. I want the best ones. If anyone asks, just say that it's for self-defense. Okay then. I'll be there after class. I'll contact you then. After saying that, Wang Haoran hung up the phone. The morning classes passed very quickly. After the bell rang, the students walked out of the classroom one after another. Wang Haoran walked slowly toward the school gate. On the way, he bumped into Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao. Hey, Wang Haoran, are you going out to eat? Qin Yunhan took the initiative to greet him and asked, My dad said that he's going to attend the birthday celebration of a famous calligrapher. He wants to bring me along to broaden my horizons, Wang Haoran replied. Hearing this, Mu Zhaozhao's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't help but ask, Don't tell me that the calligrapher your dad mentioned is surnamed Mu? Yeah, how did you know? Wang Haoran pretended to be surprised. If I'm not wrong, you're talking about my grandpa. My grandpa is holding a birthday celebration at the Grand Marriott today. Yes, I'm going there. Speaking of which, I saw your grandpa yesterday. I didn't expect your grandpa to be a calligrapher, Wang Haoran suggested. Since we're going to the same place, let's go together. The criminals who wanted to kidnap Qin Yunhan escaped last time. They would probably continue to target Qin Yunhan. Of course, Wang Haoran wanted to nip the problem in the bud. If he could save Qin Yunhan again, he would be able to gain more favorability points. Okay, Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao naturally didn't object to Wang Haoran's suggestion. After leaving the school gate, the three of them got in a Cullinan and headed to the Grand Marriott. Along the way, Wang Haoran used his X-ray vision to check the surrounding cars, trying to find traces of the criminals. However, when Cullinan arrived at the Grand Marriott, he didn't find any suspicious characters. The banquet hall on the first floor of the hotel had been completely booked. The guests who came to congratulate them took out their invitations and handed them to the greeters outside the banquet hall. Then, they walked into the banquet hall one after another. Wang Haoran, Qin Yunhan, and Mu Zhaozhao didn't have invitations. However, the people in the banquet hall knew Mu Zhaozhao and Qin Yunhan, so they naturally let them in respectfully. As for Wang Haoran, he came because Wang Xiangdi had come to greet him. The greeters knew that he was the son of the Wang group. Even if they were 100 times more courageous, they wouldn't dare to stop him. The three of them were invited into the banquet hall. However, they didn't walk far before they heard a dispute behind them. Where did this middle school student come from? Do you want a freeload? I'm an honored guest invited by your old master Mu. Honored guest? Where's the invitation? I don't have an invitation. Get out of here if you don't have an invitation. Don't get in the way here. You can't afford to offend other honored guests. You're a snob. Are you sure you won't let me in? Don't regret it. Go, go, go. Hurry up and get out of the way. Don't block the door. Okay, I won't block you. I'll wait by the side. I'll show you later. You're quite good at bragging. I'll wait and see how you'll show me. Wang Haoran, Qin Yunhan, and Mu Zhaozhao turned around and saw Xiao Yifeng. Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao were surprised. Obviously, they were very surprised to see Xiao Yifeng here. Wang Haoran's expression was normal. He didn't find it strange at all. The birthday banquet was ready, and the two female leads were here. How could the protagonist not come to show off? What is this country bumpkin doing here? Did he follow us here? Qin Yunhan felt annoyed when she saw Xiao Yifeng. He doesn't seem to have noticed us. It doesn't look like it. Mu Zhaozhao said, Forget it. He can't come in anyway. Let's go see your grandfather. Qin Yunhan said. Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao left first. Wang Haoran didn't leave. Since the protagonist came to attend the birthday banquet, how could he not come in? The greeter with a bad attitude was most likely a tool to be slapped in the face. Thinking of this, Wang Haoran immediately walked toward the banquet hall's entrance. I know this person. Let him in, Wang Haoran said to the greeter. Yes, young Master Wang. The greeter didn't hesitate and nodded respectfully. He didn't stop Xiao Yifeng anymore. Ding! The host stopped the protagonist Xiao Yifeng from slapping the greeter's face. Received 200 villain points. Wang Haoran happily received a wave of small rewards. So what if you're the protagonist? You want to show off in front of me? No way. Chapter 81. Xiao Yifeng did not feel happy when he saw that no one was stopping him. Instead, he felt a little annoyed. That greeter had looked down on him. He had wanted to wait for Mu Zong to come and teach that greeter a lesson. Only then would he be able to vent his anger. However, a stranger had come and meddled in his business. It was really annoying. Xiao Yifeng shot a glance at Wang Haoren. Regarding the matter of his assistance, he did not have the slightest bit of gratitude. Wang Haoren sensed the emotion in his eyes and sneered inwardly. F***CK. No wonder he was the main character. Even though he had helped him, he was still unhappy with him. He was a natural enemy. However, Wang Haoren did not care. He did not want to help Xiao Yifeng. He only wanted to stop Xiao Yifeng from showing off. Wang Haoren ignored Xiao Yifeng and walked toward the banquet hall. He successfully found Wang Xiang somewhere in the hall. Wang Xiang's face was tense. He did not seem to be in a good mood. "What's wrong?" Wang Haoren asked. "I'm a CEO of a listed company. I'm a business tycoon with a net worth of tens of billions. How dare old man Mu neglect me and not invite me to the banquet?" Wang Xiang complained. "You came suddenly. Maybe the banquet hall is full. That's why he didn't arrange a seat for you." Wang Haoren comforted him. "So what if it's full? He can ask others to give it to him. Are his friends nobler than me?" Wang Xiang said disdainfully. "Then what do you want?" Wang Haoren asked helplessly. "Let's not take this lying down. Let's go. Let's wait until after the banquet. I'll find a way to help you vent your anger." Wang Haoren did not want to leave. "My dear son, how can you help me vent my anger? Doesn't old man Mu have a beautiful granddaughter? I'll get my hands on her and play with her before getting rid of her," Wang Haoren said casually. He wanted to calm Wang Xiang down. "All right." Wang Xiang slapped his thigh and praised. "Good idea, my dear son. I support you. You have to work hard. It's best if you can get his beautiful granddaughter pregnant and then abandon her. That will make old Mu angry. Keep your voice down." Wang Haoren's face twitched as he hurriedly stopped her. Right. Wang Xiang's mood improved a lot. "Did you bring the medical team and bodyguards?" Wang Haoren asked. "Yes, the medical team was found by Tian Wei. There are 8 people in the team, and they're good at first aid. There are 10 bodyguards in total, and they are all armed. They're standing guard outside the banquet hall and are on standby at any time," Wang Xiang said. On the other side, after Xiao Yifeng successfully entered the grand banquet hall, he started looking around. Some of the guests around saw that he was wearing a school uniform and looked out of place here. They couldn't help but look at him in surprise. Xiao Yifeng did not care about these gazes at all. It didn't take long for him to find Mu Kong. At this moment, Mu Tsong was talking to a few distinguished guests. Xiao Yifeng walked up to him. "Old Master Mu." When Mu Tsong heard him, he immediately left the guests behind and walked straight to Xiao Yifeng. Obviously, Mu Tsong thought highly of Xiao Yifeng. "Young friend, you're finally here." Mu Tsong pointed and said, "There's a VIP seat. There's a VIP seat over there. It's specially reserved for you. You can sit there later." Mu Tsong planned to ask Xiao Yifeng about Jiuduan Jin after the banquet. When the surrounding guests saw old Master Mu's attitude toward Xiao Yifeng, they couldn't help but be surprised. They were curious about who Xiao Yifeng was to make Mu Tsong treat him so respectfully. In an instant, Xiao Yifeng became the focus of everyone's attention. "Thank you, old Master Mu." Xiao Yifeng puffed out his chest and laughed heartily. At this moment, Wang Xiang and Wang Haoren walked over. The latter congratulated him. "Grandpa Mu, I wish you a long and happy life." Wang Xiang was very unhappy with Mu Tsong because he was slighted, so he didn't say anything. "Young man, it's you." Mu Tsong was very surprised. He was very curious about why Wang Haoren was here. "I came with my father," Wang Haoren explained. "Your father is Wang Xiang?" Wang Haoren gestured to the person behind them. "So Wang Xiang of the Wang Group is your father?" Mu Tsong was slightly surprised. As a scholar, he had always maintained his scholarly character. He never fawned over rich people, so he arranged for Wang Xiang, who came uninvited, to sit at the end of the table. However, he didn't expect Wang Xiang to be father and son with Wang Haoren, the man who saved his granddaughter. Wang Haoren was a man who sacrificed himself for others. A father who could raise such a son must have a good character. He wasn't an ordinary businessman who valued profit over righteousness. With that in mind, Mu Tsong immediately changed his attitude and said to Wang Xiang, "Mr. Wang, I'm sorry. Please don't take it to heart. I'll get you another seat. I'll toast to you later as an apology." Wang Xiang's expression softened. He wanted to say, "Good for you." However, he remembered that his son told him to be polite to Mu Tsong, so he waved his hand and smiled. "Haha, it's fine." Just then, two beautiful figures walked over hand in hand. It was Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao. The two of them congratulated Mu Kong. "Grandpa, I wrote this. It's for you." Mu Zhaozhao took out the calligraphy that she had stayed up late to write and handed it to Mu Kong. Mu Tsong opened it with a smile and nodded in satisfaction. Mu Zhaozhao's calligraphy was taught by him hand in hand, and this calligraphy had about 20 to 30% of his calligraphy style. Compared to Mu Zhaozhao's usual standards, this was considered extraordinary. Mu Tsong could guess that Mu Zhaozhao must have spent a lot of time on this calligraphy. He thought about how she was busy preparing for the college entrance exam, but she still put in so much effort to prepare this piece of calligraphy. Mu Tsong couldn't stop smiling. Good. Thank you. As long as you're happy, Grandpa." Mu Zhaozhao's baby face beamed with joy. She looked extremely adorable. By the side, Xiao Yifeng was dumbstruck. "Old Master Mu, I forgot to prepare a birthday gift for you too." Xiao Yifeng suddenly came forward and said. Actually, he didn't forget. He just wanted to wait for more people to come before taking out the birthday gift. After all, this birthday gift was very expensive. It was an elixir that he had specially concocted. It could prolong one's life and was very suitable for the elderly. It couldn't be bought outside, even if one had the money. If he gave it to Mu Tsong when there were more people, he would definitely be in the limelight. Now that young Mistress Qin and Mu Zhaozhao were here, it was the best time. Of course, Xiao Yifeng couldn't sit still. "Young friend, I can't accept this birthday gift." Mu Tsong declined. In Mu Tsong's opinion, Xiao Yifeng had taught him Zhiduanjin. This gift was already precious enough. It was inappropriate to accept another birthday gift. He couldn't let Xiao Yifeng spend so much money. "Old Master Mu, you must accept this gift." Xiao Yifeng insisted. "Student, I think you should take back this birthday gift." Wang Haoren suddenly stopped him. According to the plot of Shuangwen novels, he was 100% sure that Xiao Yifeng's gift was no ordinary item. Once it was taken out, it would definitely shock everyone and make a scene. Chapter 82. It's my birthday gift. What does it have to do with you? Xiao Yifeng glanced at Wang Haoren unhappily. "We're still students. Don't be so formal. Qin Yunhan and I came empty-handed, but you're giving us gifts. Aren't you trying to embarrass us?" Wang Haoren said, "That's right. Zhao is your granddaughter. It's normal for her to bring gifts. You're not Grandpa Mu's grandson. Why do you have to do this?" Qin Yunhan also agreed. As students, they didn't have much financial ability. Even if they prepared gifts, they would use their parents' money to buy them. This was completely meaningless and showed no sincerity. They might as well not give anything. Hearing Missy's words, Xiao Yifeng was in a dilemma. If it was just Wang Haoren's opinion, Xiao Yifeng could ignore it. However, Missy also interfered. This put Xiao Yifeng in a difficult position. If he insisted on giving the gift to Mu Tsong, wouldn't that be slapping Missy's face? "Young friend, I appreciate your kindness. I'm already very happy that you think so highly of an old man like me. You can take the gift back." Mu Tsong tried to smooth things over. "Then all right." Xiao Yifeng felt wronged and had to take the gift back. The reason why he wanted to give Mu Tsong a birthday gift was mainly to gain the favor of Missy and Mu Zhaozhao. If he insisted on giving a gift now, it would only make Missy angrier. Ding! Host stopped the main character, Xiao Yifeng, from showing off. Received 200 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's main character aura -10. Host's villain aura +10. Wang Haoren received a wave of rewards as he wished. At this moment, Qin Kai came over with a smile. He congratulated Mu Tsong and gave him a birthday gift. Mu Tsong quickly went up to greet him and chatted with him for a while. Due to Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao's relationship, the two families were close. Qin Kai and Mu Tsong's relationship was quite good. After exchanging pleasantries with Mu Tsong, Qin Kai walked towards his daughter. Is the dormitory comfortable? Qin Kai chuckled and asked. Yes, it's very comfortable. I plan to stay here until I graduate. Qin Yunhan snorted. In response, Qin Kai only chuckled. She thought that Qin Yunhan was just saying it out of anger. He knew his daughter too well. She had been pampered since she was young, and it was impossible for her to get used to living in the school dormitory. It was only a matter of time before she returned to the small villa. Qin Kai didn't believe that Qin Yunhan could survive until graduation. Master Mu's calligraphy is getting better and better. Such wonderful calligraphy. I think it's not an exaggeration to say that each word is worth 1,000 gold. So what if a single word is worth 1,000 gold? I think that in the future, his name will definitely be passed down through the ages. Some of Mu Tsung's recent calligraphy works were hung in the banquet hall. Some of the guests who were interested in calligraphy started to talk while admiring them. Mu Tsung was a famous calligrapher in the current era. His calligraphy styles were varied. There were running script, cursive script, and regular script. Among them, the one that people loved to talk about and admire the most was his running script. Sister Yunhan, let's go take a look, Mu Zhaozhao suggested. She had been influenced by her grandfather's calligraphy since she was young, so she had a strong interest in calligraphy. However, she was a little lazy, so she didn't learn much. But that didn't affect her interest in calligraphy at all. Sure. Qin Yunhan nodded and walked with Mu Zhaozhao toward the hanging calligraphy in the banquet hall. She wasn't interested in calligraphy, but from afar, the calligraphy looked very elegant and lively, so she wanted to take a look. When Xiao Yifeng saw the situation, he also followed over without any hesitation. He wasn't interested in calligraphy at all, but he was very interested in Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao. Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao admired the calligraphy, and from time to time, they would whisper some words of admiration. Xiao Yifeng approached the two and interrupted. These words are really well written, as expected of a master. You country bumpkin, you haven't even studied for a few years. Don't tell me you know calligraphy? Qin Yunhan said disdainfully. I haven't studied much, but I still know how to write. And I think my writing is pretty good. Xiao Yifeng boasted. Who would believe you? Qin Yunhan curled her lips. Young friend, you know calligraphy too? Mu Tsung was nearby. After hearing Xiao Yifeng's words, he couldn't help but walk over and ask. Yes, Xiao Yifeng nodded. But my calligraphy isn't written with a brush, but with a sword. With Mu Tsung's exquisite calligraphy here, Xiao Yifeng naturally didn't dare to show off his slight skill in front of an expert. Therefore, he wanted to use another method to display his talent. He had practiced martial arts for many years and wielded a sword like an extension of his arm. Writing with a sword was no different from writing with a brush. However, this was considered a consummate skill for an ordinary person. Combined with his swordsmanship, it would definitely amaze everyone. Oh, Mu Tsung was surprised. He also knew some calligraphy peers. Among them, there were some who were unique and didn't use a brush to write calligraphy. However, none of them used a sword to write calligraphy. When he heard Xiao Yifeng's words, he couldn't help but become interested and wanted to admire it. Old Master Mu, can you give me a sword? It can't be less than 15 kilograms. The heavier, the better. Xiao Yifeng made a special request. Actually, to him, it didn't matter what kind of sword he used to write. It was just that using a heavy sword seemed more difficult and prettier. When Mu Tsung heard that, he was even more surprised. It would be difficult to hold such a heavy sword, let alone write with a heavy sword. That would be difficult. Mu Tsung was looking forward to Xiao Yifeng's performance even more. All right, today is Grandpa Mu's birthday. It's a good day. Isn't it a little inauspicious to dance with a sword? Wang Haoran purposely interrupted Mu Kong this. Mu Tsung hesitated. The older he got, the more particular he became. It was indeed not a good sign to have swords and sabers at a birthday banquet. It's just sword dancing and calligraphy. It's not a fight. What's so inauspicious about it? Xiao Yifeng looked at Wang Haoran and was very displeased. He's not your grandpa. Of course you don't think it's anything. Qin Yunhan was very displeased with Xiao Yifeng and couldn't help but help Wang Haoran talk back to him. Grandpa, I also don't think sword dancing is appropriate. Let's forget about it. If you really want to demonstrate calligraphy, Using a pen is the same. Mu Zhaozhao cared more about her grandpa, so she also tried to persuade him. That's true. Mu Tsong saw that his precious granddaughter had spoken, so he immediately dismissed the idea of letting Xiao Yifeng demonstrate calligraphy. He looked at Xiao Yifeng and said, "Young friend, how about using a pen instead of sword? I'm used to using a sword to write calligraphy. I can't find the feeling of using a pen. Let's just forget about it." Xiao Yifeng found an excuse, but as he spoke, he stared at Wang Haoren a few times in a bad mood. Ding! Host stopped the main character Xiao Yifeng from showing off. Received 200 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist, aura -10. Host's villain, aura +10. Wang Haoren received a wave of rewards and felt very satisfied. Then, he took a few steps forward and glanced at the calligraphy works around him. Suddenly, he praised, "You're right. Grandpa Mu's calligraphy is so profound that it's a unique style. I'm really impressed." "Haoren, you know calligraphy too?" Mu Tsong couldn't help but ask. "I wouldn't dare to say that I know anything in front of a master," Wang Haoren humbly said, and then changed the topic. "However, I also dabbled in calligraphy. For example, I've copied the works of the four great calligraphers of the Song family, as well as those calligraphers who had mastered the cursive and semi-cursive script. I think I've learned the essence at least 1,000 times." Chapter 83. Haoren is too arrogant to say that. Mu Tsong chuckled. Obviously, he didn't believe it and was even a little disdainful. Calligraphy was easy to learn but hard to master. Especially in modern society, people were used to writing with a ballpoint pen. How could they be used to writing with a brush? Not only Mu Tsong, but even Qin Yunhan, Mu Zhaozhao, and the other guests looked at Wang Haoren with suspicion. The only person who trusted Wang Haoren was Wang Xiang. He had no reason to trust him. He just thought that his son was awesome. "Do you have the four treasures of the study?" Wang Haoren saw Mu Tsong's expression and didn't refute. He just asked, "I have these things with me everywhere I go." Mu Tsong immediately asked someone to bring a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. He cleaned up a table in the banquet hall and covered it with paper. The guests gathered around and focused their attention on Wang Haoren. The brush and paper were ready, but the ink was not ground yet. Wang Haoren walked to Mu Zhaozhao and smiled brightly. "Can you help me grind the ink with your slender hands?" Grinding ink was also a skill. Mu Tsong must be good at it, but it was a little beneath him to do it. Mu Zhaozhao had been studying calligraphy since she was a child, so she must be very experienced. She was the most suitable. Of course, Mu Zhaozhao was very friendly to Wang Haoren, so she agreed to this request. Not long after, the ink was ground. Wang Haoren dipped the brush in the ink and started to write on the paper. The brush moved like dragons and snakes, and one by one, the words appeared on the paper. Looking at it carefully, one could see the words. In the 9th year of Yonghe, the year is Qichu. At the beginning of spring, we meet at the Orchid Pavilion of Kuaiji Mountain to mend the calligraphy. All the sages had gathered, the young and old had gathered. Not long after, a 324-word essay was completed. Wang Haoren did not stop there. Instead, he switched to a new piece of paper and started writing. The previous article was written in semi-cursive script, but the calligraphy style of the new article was written in cursive script. A few minutes later, another article was finished. He replaced it with a new piece of paper. This time, it was another style of calligraphy. The attention of the surrounding people was all attracted by the calligraphy, and time passed quietly. About half an hour later, Wang Haoren wrote the last word of the last article. The ink fell and the brush stopped. Looking at the ground again, there were already more than 10 pieces of paper spread out. Every piece of paper had exquisite calligraphy, each with a different style. Wang Haoren had the Grandmaster level copying skill, so copying these famous calligraphies was a piece of cake. Mu Tsong's eyes swept across the calligraphy on the ground. He was shocked beyond words and exclaimed, "Wang Shiji's preface to the Orchid Pavilion, Ouyang Sun's 36 Laws, Yan Jinqing's Magu Immortal Altar, Huaisu's Autobiography, Lu Gongquan's Madame Su's Epitaph, Su Shi's Dark Clouds in the Sky." Song couldn't be more familiar with these calligraphy articles. They were all masterpieces by famous masters. When he first learned calligraphy, he also started by imitating the calligraphy masters of ancient times. In the end, he learned from them and created his own unique style. And the calligraphy articles written by Wang Haoren were very similar to the original authors. If Wang Haoren's calligraphy was compared to the original authors, Song might not be able to tell them apart just by comparing the handwriting. How could a person imitate the calligraphy of a famous master to such an extent? This was simply too inconceivable. Other than Song, the other guests around were also shocked. Some of them knew calligraphy, so they could naturally see the knack of Wang Haoren's calligraphy. Everyone was stingy with their praise and praised Wang Haoren. Wang Xiang felt very proud and couldn't help but shout, "That's my son, my son." Wang Haoren didn't care about the cheers around him. He only said to Song, the number 1 semi-cursive calligraphy master, Wang Shiji, the master of cursive calligraphy, Master Huai Su, the 4 regular calligraphy masters, Ouyang Sun, Yin Jinxing Lu Gongquan, Zhao Mengfu, the 4 Song families, Su Shi, Huang Tingjian, Mi Fu, and Kai Xiang. I copied each of these famous calligraphies. In Grandpa Mu's opinion, is my standard okay? Haoren, I didn't expect you to be so accomplished in calligraphy. This old man is blind. I underestimated you, Song said in amazement. In fact, Wang Haoren had only seen the works of these famous calligraphies. He had never copied them. Speaking of which, it was his first time copying, so there were still some minor flaws. If he had practiced, he would definitely be able to pass off as the real thing. However, even if there were flaws, it didn't affect Song's astonishment. It's mainly because the beauty grinds the ink. This allowed me to perform better than usual. I might not be so good at calligraphy normally. Wang Haoren didn't forget to throw a seductive look at Mu Zhao Zhao as he spoke. Everyone heard this and instinctively looked at Mu Zhao Zhao. Mu Zhao Zhao felt a little embarrassed being stared at by so many people. A hint of red appeared on her face. Ding! The female lead, Mu Zhao Zhao's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 30, very friendly. Ding! The host has influenced the plot. Received 200 villain points. Even if it's a level lower, it's still very impressive. I don't think I can copy better than you. Song praised and looked at the calligraphy works again. Among them, one of the works made him feel a little startled. Haoren, that last work, I wonder which famous calligrapher you copied. Song couldn't help but ask, Grandpa Mu, can't you tell that I'm copying you? Wang Haoren smiled. Song was very familiar with his calligraphy style. In fact, he had already noticed it, but he wanted to hear it from Wang Haoren himself. Haoren, you're thinking too highly of me by putting my work together with the works of these famous calligraphers, Song said in shame. That's not right. Grandpa Mu, you're a great calligrapher with countless excellent works. Many years later, your name will be passed down through the ages and you'll be on the same level as the Song 4 families, Wang Haoren said seriously. When Song heard this, he felt every cell in his body relax. As a famous calligrapher, he hoped that his works would be passed down through the ages and be praised by future generations. He loved hearing Wang Haoren's words. If he wasn't afraid of losing his composure, he really wanted to hug Wang Haoren and kiss him a few times. After a long while, Song's excitement calmed down a little. He suddenly asked Wang Haoren tentatively, "You're so good at copying calligraphy. You're so good at copying the calligraphy of famous masters. You must be very interested in calligraphy and have put in a lot of effort. I wonder if you'd like to improve on this path?" Wang Haoren could tell that Song wanted to take him in as a disciple, but he didn't have this idea at all, so he declined. Calligraphy is just one of my hobbies. I don't plan to spend too much effort on it and include it in my future plans. Chapter 84. Song could understand Wang Haoren very well. In his opinion, Wang Haoren still had a corporation worth tens of billions to inherit. There were many things to do in the future, so it was normal for him not to choose to study calligraphy. However, Song still suppressed his obsession of taking Wang Haoren as a disciple. He had other disciples, but none of them were outstanding. This was something he had always regretted. Now that he had found a piece of unpolished jade, he was really unwilling to give it up. Mu Tsung had an idea. He directly pulled Mu Zhao Zhao to his side. Howren, Zhao Zhao is also very interested in calligraphy. You are both young, so I think you must have a lot of common topics. You should get to know each other. Grandpa, Mu Zhao Zhao felt like she had been sold. She immediately protested a little. Okay, I'll definitely ask Zhao Zhao about calligraphy when I have time. Wang Howren pretended to agree. My skills are very average. Please guide me. Mu Zhao Zhao was also stunned by his copying skills. She felt a lot of admiration for Wang Howren, so she asked for advice. Sure. Wang Howren smiled. He could not help but look at Mu Zhao Zhao a few more times. He thought to himself, I don't have time to teach you calligraphy, but I'm still very free to teach you posture. Wang Howren, not bad. I didn't expect your calligraphy to be so good. Qin Yunhan could not help but praise. I know a lot. Is that so? Then tell me, what else do you know? Qin Yunhan asked. Last time, Wang Howren used his outstanding martial arts to defeat the criminals. This time, he showed such a beautiful and stunning calligraphy. Qin Yunhan was getting more and more curious about Wang Howren. She could not help but want to know more about him. Well, you'll slowly find out after you've been with me for a long time. Tisk, forget it if you don't want to say. Qin Yunhan snorted unhappily. By the side, Xiao Yifeng was very unhappy to see Wang Howren in the limelight, especially when he saw Mu Zhao Zhao and Wang Howren humbly asking for advice, and Qin Yunhan flirting with Wang Howren. This made Xiao Yifeng hate Wang Howren. Damned rich second generation. You actually dare to snatch a girl from me. You're really tired of living. Xiao Yifeng secretly thought that he must find an opportunity to teach Wang Howren a lesson. He must make him stay away from Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhao Zhao in the future. At this time, a hotel manager came to Mu Tsung's side and whispered a few words into his ear. Hearing this, Mu Tsung announced loudly, the banquet is about to begin. Everyone, please take your seats. Hearing this, the guests slowly walked to their seats. Mu Tsung was afraid that the high-quality replicas on the ground would be stepped on and dirty, so he bent down to pick up the papers. However, after he picked up 3 pieces, his head suddenly tilted and he fell to the ground. Grandpa, Mu Zhao Zhao turned pale with fright and rushed over. The other guests saw this and immediately came over to check on the situation. They saw that Mu Tsung was unconscious and could not wake up. Mu Zhao Zhao was so anxious that tears came out of her eyes. Someone immediately called the emergency number, but at this time, the paramedics would definitely not be able to come. This sudden turn of events caught everyone off guard. Wang Howren was stunned for a moment, then immediately complained to himself. Damn, Xiao Yifeng did not have any sense of presence at all. He had stolen all the limelight. In this situation, there was a chance for him to turn the tables. Mu Tsung clearly had a sudden illness. Wasn't Xiao Yifeng's chance to perform now? Move aside, let me take a look. Just as Wang Howren was complaining, Xiao Yifeng shouted and pushed through the crowd to Mu Tsung's side. Mu Zhao Zhao, don't worry. I can save your grandpa. Xiao Yifeng comforted her. You know medicine? Mu Zhao Zhao, with tears on her cheeks, looked up at him in shock. MHM. Xiao Yifeng nodded and comforted her again. With me here, your grandpa will definitely be fine. Mu Zhao Zhao panicked and nodded. She was about to move aside to let Xiao Yifeng treat her grandpa. You said you know medicine. Do you have a doctor's license? Wang Howren immediately came in to stir things up. I don't have such a thing, and I don't need it, Xiao Yifeng said with a frown. Seeing Xiao Yifeng admit it, Wang Howren turned to Mu Zhao Zhao and said, Did you hear that? He said he doesn't have a license. Do you dare let him treat you? He's about the same age as us, and you actually believe that he knows medicine. Perhaps it wasn't a big problem at first, but if he messes around, something might happen. I'm afraid you'll regret it for the rest of your life. After Wang Howren's analysis, the panicked Mu Zhao Zhao immediately reacted. No, I can't let you treat me. If you harm my grandpa, can you bear the responsibility? Your grandpa is in danger now. If you don't treat him, his life might be in danger. I can promise you that if I can't treat him, I'll give my life to you. Xiao Yifeng said ruthlessly to reassure Mu Zhao Zhao. Mu Zhao Zhao's heart wavered. Zhao Zhao, these are professional first aid doctors. Let them do it, Wang Haoran said hurriedly. He could actually treat Yong Song, but the way he used poison to save people was strange. Therefore, he didn't want to use it in public. Moreover, poison was his trump card, and he might use it to deal with Xiao Yifeng in the future. Xiao Yifeng didn't know that he knew poison. With this information gap, he would definitely be able to catch him off guard. Where? Mu Zhao Zhao asked hurriedly. Wang Haoran didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at Wang Xiang. Dad, where's your medical team? They're waiting outside. I'll call them right away. Wang Xiang immediately dialed a number. 10 seconds later, a group of doctors wearing white coats and carrying first aid equipment ran over. It was obvious that they were a professional team. Moreover, there was the word Tianhui on their white coats. Some rich people with good eyesight immediately recognized that they were the first aid team of Tianhui Clinic. What Tianhui Clinic represented was top-notch medical standards. The crowd automatically parted to let the first aid doctors in. When Mu Zhao Zhao saw that the professional doctors had arrived, she naturally didn't stop them and immediately moved aside. Xiao Yifeng was dumbfounded. He froze in place, and the guests rudely pulled him aside. Ding! The host stopped the protagonist Xiao Yifeng from showing off. The host received 300 villain points, Xiao Yifeng's protagonist aura -15, and the host villain aura +15. After receiving the rewards as he wished, Wang Haoran couldn't help but smile. Xiao Yifeng was proficient in medicine and had amazing combat strength. According to the usual plot of those light novels, if he wanted to show off, he would definitely use one of these two methods. Therefore, Wang Haoran asked Wang Xiang to bring the medical team and the bodyguards. Now, it seemed that they really came in handy. The doctors nimbly used a stethoscope to check Mu Tsong's heart and opened his eyelids to check his pupils. They did other things to make a preliminary diagnosis of his condition. In less than a minute, the doctors had made a preliminary judgment. The doctor immediately used treatment measures. Not long after, Mu Tsong slowly woke up. What happened to me? Mu Tsong looked around in confusion. Chapter 85. Grandpa, you fainted when you were picking things up. Mu Zhao Zhao let out a sigh of relief and replied. The old man's blood flow is not smooth, and his blood vessels are aging. When he bent down, a large amount of blood flowed to his brain and caused an acute shock. If we don't save him in time, he might have a stroke. Fortunately, we treated him in time. However, for safety reasons, I suggest you go to the hospital for a full checkup. A doctor in the lead of the rescue team immediately made an accurate judgment of Mu Tsong's condition after hearing Mu Zhao Zhao's words. Thank you for saving my grandpa, Mu Zhao Zhao said gratefully. We are only doing this for the money. If you want to thank someone, you should thank President Wang. The leading doctor said. Mu Zhao Zhao turned her eyes and looked at Wang Xiang. Uncle Wang, thank you. Don't mention it, niece. I don't usually lead the rescue team. It's all thanks to my precious son. If you want to thank someone, you should thank my son. Wang Xiang gave Wang Haoran an assist. Mu Zhao Zhao didn't say anything. However, she looked deeply at Wang Haoran. Her watery eyes were filled with gratitude. Wang Haoran could feel it from afar. At the same time, a notification came from the system. Ding! Mu Zhao Zhao's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 40, very friendly. Ding! The host has changed the plot. You have gained 300 villain points. With the rescue team protecting him, Mu Tsong wasn't worried about any danger. He insisted on going to the hospital for a checkup after the banquet. Mu Zhao Zhao tried to persuade him, but it didn't work. She had no choice but to listen to Mu Kong. The banquet went on, as usual. There were 10 seats at the head of the table. Mu Tsong couldn't drink alcohol, so he drank a few cups of tea instead of wine. Many guests at the head of the table knew Wang Xiang's name, so they tried to curry favor with him. Qin Kai, who was sitting at the head of the table, was a business tycoon like Wang Xiang. They could be considered friends, so there was no need to flatter him. However, Qin Kai had a whole new level of respect for Wang Haoran because of his calligraphy. He had a lot of interactions with him during the meal. Xiao Yifeng was also sitting in the main seat, but almost no one paid attention to him. This made him feel like he was sitting on the bench. Xiao Yifeng drank his wine to drown his sorrows. Suddenly, at this moment, bang! A sudden loud noise came from outside the banquet hall. In an instant, the atmosphere in the banquet hall was filled with a sense of panic. This was the sound of a wooden barn. The guests near the entrance of the banquet hall were shocked. They jumped up from their seats and moved away from the entrance of the banquet hall. The banquet hall was filled with the sounds of people knocking over chairs as they walked, as well as the panicked screams of people. The scene became chaotic for a moment. Seeing this, Wang Haoren was first stunned, then had the urge to curse. F***ck. It was one thing for Mu Tsong to suddenly have a relapse, but what the F***ck? The idiotic author who wrote this novel with Xiao Yifeng as the main character was really F***king crazy. In order to create an opportunity for Xiao Yifeng to show off in the plot, he was really unscrupulous. He was completely unreasonable. This was a 5-star hotel, so it had good security. What was going on with the gunshots? Could it be that there were bandits here to rob them? Bang! 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 The gunshots outside were even more intense. It seemed like two groups of people were in a conflict. Wang Haoren quickly used his X-ray vision to check it out. He quickly distinguished that there were two groups of people fighting. One of them was Wang Xiang's bodyguards, while the other was a group of bandits. There were 3 faces that Wang Haoren had seen before in that group of bandits. They were the 3 young men who wanted to kidnap Qin Yunhan at the business district. Perhaps it was because of their failure last time, but this time they actually brought firearms. They were F***king professional. Unfortunately, Wang Xiang's team of 10 professional bodyguards was equipped with firearms as well. They were definitely not inferior to the bandits. The 2 sides used cover to shoot at each other, but it was like they were drawing lines on a human body. There were no casualties on either side. However, with the bodyguards blocking the way, the bandits had no chance to rush into the banquet hall. Wang Haoren was slightly relieved. If the bandits couldn't get in, Xiao Yifeng wouldn't have a chance to perform. However, Wang Haoren knew that there wasn't any danger, but the others didn't. The loud noise outside the banquet hall made everyone panic. No one dared to rush outside to see what was going on. They could only hide in the banquet hall and wait anxiously. Zhao Zhao, are we having an unlucky year? We just escaped from the fire. So why are we having such bad luck again? Qin Yunhan's face was pale, but she didn't forget to complain. Maybe it really is an unlucky year. Mu Zhao was also very depressed. Mu Tsong felt the same way when he heard that. There had been a lot of trouble recently. Qin Kai had seen a lot of things, so he was quite calm. He hurried to his daughter's side, wanting to give her some sense of security. Miss Uncle Qin, I'll protect you. Nothing will happen. Xiao Yifeng saw that his chance to perform had come, so he immediately stood beside Qin Yunhan and Qin Kai to protect them. Qin Kai nodded at Xiao Yifeng, his eyes filled with trust. He was quite confident in Xiao Yifeng's abilities. The last time you went to school, we ran into a big fire. This time, when you came to the banquet, there were bandits. I think you're a jinx. Qin Yunhan was very unhappy with Xiao Yifeng. She couldn't help but spit at him in a hurry. How can you blame me for this? Xiao Yifeng looked innocent. When Wang Haoren heard this from the side, he really wanted to curse. F***ck, it's all because of you. If you weren't the main character, why would there be trouble wherever you go? Anyway, nothing good happens whenever I meet you. Stay away from me. Seeing you annoys me, Qin Yunhan said to Xiao Yifeng. No, I have to be by your side to protect you, Xiao Yifeng said. The bandits are outside. What's the use of standing here? If you want to protect me, you should stand by the door. Qin Yunhan didn't want to see Xiao Yifeng, so she wanted to drive him away from her. Then I'll guard the door. Xiao Yifeng saw that Miss was angry, so he didn't object. Instead, he went along with her wishes. There was only one door in the banquet hall. As long as he stood guard here, he would be able to hold back 10,000 people. No one would be able to enter. With that thought, Xiao Yifeng grabbed a pair of chopsticks and used them as a hidden weapon to guard the door. Seeing that Xiao Yifeng had gone far away, Wang Haoren also felt that it was quiet. However, the battle outside was still going on. This made Wang Haoren a little puzzled. Weren't those bandits too stupid? They clearly couldn't break in, So why did they run away? Were they waiting to be caught? It was impossible for them to have cerebral palsy. Then, if they didn't have cerebral palsy and didn't leave, did they think that they could kidnap Qin Yunhan? But they couldn't enter, so why would they kidnap Qin Yunhan? Could it be Wang Haoran suddenly thought of a possibility? Chapter 86. Wang Haoran withdrew his attention from the battle outside and immediately scanned the people around Qin Yunhan with his X-ray vision. He saw a waiter carrying a tray and inadvertently walking towards Qin Yunhan. The tray was covered with a dark cloth, making it impossible to see what was on the tray. But this couldn't be hidden from Wang Haoran's X-ray vision. The waiter came to Qin Yunhan's side and slowly reached for the dark cloth on the tray. But he didn't have time to do it. Wang Haoran picked up a wine bottle and opened it with lightning speed. With a bang and a scream, the waiter fell to the ground with his head in his hands. The surrounding people were shocked, and, at the same time, they felt a little confused. They didn't understand why Wang Haoran suddenly hit someone. But everyone's eyes quickly gathered on the tray that fell to the ground. Because of the impact of the fall, the dark cloth was separated from the tray. The wooden container on the tray was also exposed to everyone's vision. After the bandit was opened, he screamed with his head in his hands and seemed to have lost the ability to resist. But for the sake of caution, Wang Haoran still kicked the weapon away. Qin Kai was sensitive and immediately realized that this was most likely the bandit who wanted to kidnap his daughter. "Dad, this is—" Qin Yunhan was a little frightened and confused. "Now do you understand why Dad wanted to find you a bodyguard?" Qin Kai said in a deep voice. Qin Yunhan still had lingering fear. If it wasn't for Wang Haoran, she would have been held hostage. Last time, Wang Haoran had saved her when she was caught in a fire. Now that she was about to be kidnapped, Wang Haoran had saved her again. In the fairy tale world, when the princess was in danger, the prince would always come to her rescue. Wang Haoran, maybe he was a prince? Thinking of this, Qin Yunhan's eyes couldn't help but stare at Wang Haoran. In terms of image and family background, wasn't Wang Haoran a real prince? Ding! The host intercepted the main character and prevented the bandit from kidnapping Qin Yunhan. Received 400 villain points. Xiao Yifeng protagonist aura -20. Host villain aura +20. Ding! The female lead Qin Yunhan's favorability towards the host increased by 10. Current favorability is 55. Admiration. Ding! The host greatly affected the direction of the plot. Received 600 villain points. Xiao Yifeng protagonist aura -30. Host villain aura +30. After receiving 3 system messages in a row, Wang Haoran was so happy that he almost flew up. The reward of 1,000 villain points and 50 villain aura points was secondary. The main thing was that Qin Yunhan's favorability towards him had a qualitative change. In this way, it would be easier to deal with Xiao Yifeng. Haoran, fortunately, you reacted quickly and acted in time. Otherwise, something big would have happened. Thank you so much, Qin Kai said gratefully. At this time, Xiao Yifeng also ran over. However, what he could do was only to break the bones of the bandit, making the bandit completely lose the ability to resist. "Miss, are you okay?" Xiao Yifeng asked with a face full of concern. "The bandit has been dealt with, and you only came to intervene. Tell me, what's the use of being a bodyguard?" Qin Yunhan said to Xiao Yifeng contemptuously. "Miss, you just told me to guard the door. If you let me stay by your side, this person would have been lying down when he was 3 meters away from you." Xiao Yifeng said, "Are you blaming me? I told you to guard the door, and you want to guard the door. If I told you to die, are you going to die too?" Qin Yunhan was used to being unruly and willful. When she dissed people, it was even more tricky. Xiao Yifeng was directly speechless. Outside the banquet hall, the sound of the wooden warehouse gradually stopped. Both sides had limited supplies. If they continued to fight, whoever ran out of supplies first would be done for. The bandit side used the hotel's pillars as cover. There were 7 of them in total. 3 of them were the 3 young men who failed to kidnap Qin Yunhan. One was tall, one was short, and the last one had a pockmarked face. Damn it, why are there so many bodyguards here? And they even brought weapons. The battle temporarily stopped, and a short-tempered, pockmarked young man growled. Maybe they were brought by Qin Kai. This person is really not simple. He actually has this kind of defense. The tall young man was shocked. Then what should we do now? The short young man's face was a little pale as he asked in a panic. It's all your fault. If you accidentally exposed the wooden warehouse, those bodyguards wouldn't have noticed that something was wrong with us. The pockmarked young man said angrily. Now is not the time to quarrel. Xiao Ming, that bastard, hasn't come out for so long. Something must have happened. Let's not wait anymore. Let's find a way to get out of here. The tall young man made a prompt decision and said to his companions, cover the retreat. Yes. When his companions heard this, they immediately used the last of their supplies to fire and retreat in an orderly manner. When the bodyguards saw this, they did not desperately try to stop them. Their main purpose was to protect their employer, not to fight with the bandits. Beep, beep, beep. Suddenly, a car horn sounded. The police are here. Let's split up. The tall young man commanded. The group of bandits got into two separate cars and fled in opposite directions. The person who led the team to catch them was Su Zheng. I'll go after the black van. Shaolin, go after the white van. Shaoling, go to the banquet hall and see if there are any hostages. If there are, the safety of the hostages is the most important thing. When he saw this scene, he immediately split his men into three groups. Two of them were to chase after the bandits' cars, while the other group was to go to the banquet hall. After that, Su Zheng and Shaolin went to chase after the bandits. Follow me, Ling Duanya commanded valiantly. Then, she rushed into the banquet hall with her colleagues with weapons in hand. However, when they entered the banquet hall, they found that there were no bandits that could threaten the crowd. There was only one bandit, and he had already been subdued. After confirming that there was no danger, Ling Duanya and her colleagues immediately let down their guard. Then, Ling Duanya and her colleagues quickly gave the bodyguards and some of the guests in the banquet hall a simple preliminary statement. After understanding the general process of the incident, Ling Duanya looked at Xiao Yifeng and frowned slightly. Xiao Yifeng had indeed made a move again. However, that was when the bandits had already been subdued. In Ling Duanya's opinion, this was somewhat superfluous. In fact, it was even a little extreme. Bandits also had human rights. Xiao Yifeng had dislocated the bandits' bones when they had no ability to resist. This bandit could find a lawyer to sue Xiao Yifeng. But then again, Xiao Yifeng had the support of the business tycoon, Qin Kai. The chances of this bandit winning the lawsuit were close to zero. However, this was not something that Ling Duanya should be worried about. Ling Duanya hated Xiao Yifeng very much. Naturally, she could not be bothered to pay attention to him. She ignored Xiao Yifeng and looked at Wang Haoren with great admiration. There was astonishment, amazement, and admiration in her eyes. Ding! Ling Duanya's favorability towards the host has increased by 5. Current favorability is 25, very friendly. Ding! The host has influenced the plot. You have gained 100 villain points. Chapter 87. Ling Duanya was working at the moment, so it wasn't convenient for her to talk to Wang Haoren. She just looked at Wang Haoren kindly. Wang Haoren nodded slightly in response. At that moment, Ling Duanya's phone rang. It was a message from Captain Su Zheng. The criminals in the black van had been caught, and the criminals in the white van had escaped. Let's go. Ling Duanya called out to her colleagues and prepared to leave. Officer, please wait. Qin Kai walked up to Ling Duanya and said, What's the matter, President Qin? Ling Duanya asked calmly. She was still a little upset that Qin Kai bailed out Xiao Yifeng. I want to ask if the criminals have been caught. Qin Kai asked. Sorry, according to the rules, I'm afraid it's not convenient for me to answer this question. Ling Duanya declined politely. Qin Kai was also a smart person. When he heard Ling Duanya's tone, he knew that the criminals were most likely caught. I can understand you very well. Qin Kai agreed with Ling Duanya's thoughts at first, but then he suddenly changed the topic. However, it's very likely that these criminals were after my daughter. I might be able to provide you with some useful information for the case. Ling Duanya heard this and was moved. Since President Qin is willing to help, we will definitely welcome you. Qin Kai smiled and nodded. He He was about to leave with Ling Duanya. "Officer Ling, wait a minute," Wang Haoran suddenly said. Ling Duanya turned around and looked at Wang Haoran with a puzzled expression. Wang Haoran didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at Wang Xiang and said, "Those bandits may not be the ones who kidnapped Qin Yunhan. They may have something to do with our Wang family. You should follow them and have a look. Maybe you can help solve the case." "What does that have to do with our Wang clan?" Wang Xiang was stunned. "I received a threatening letter a few days ago." Wang Haoran started to bluff with a worried expression. Those bandits must have come for Qin Yunhan. The reason why he was so deceitful. First, he wanted to ease Qin Kai's tension. Because he was afraid that Qin Kai would be too emotional, he directly arranged Xiao Yifeng to be Qin Yunhan's personal bodyguard. Secondly, he wanted Wang Xiang to understand the case. Those bandits must have been instructed by someone. If he could get some clues about the mastermind behind the scenes from a bandit's mouths, he would be able to find out who it was. In that case, he could start from here and think of a way to deal with the mastermind behind the scenes. In this way, the crisis of Qin Yunhan being kidnapped was directly resolved, and Xiao Yifeng's bodyguard would definitely lose his job. He would lose the opportunity to stay by Qin Yunhan's side. Hearing his son's words, Wang Xiang immediately understood. He thought that his son wanted him to take the medical team and the bodyguard team because of the threatening letter. Which bastard dared to touch my son? He must be tired of living. Wang Xiang was very angry. He did not doubt Wang Haoran's words. In the business world, it was too easy to offend people. If the enemy wanted to deal with him, they would choose to deal with his son. It was very normal. "Do you still have the threatening letter?" Ling Duanya asked with concern. She wanted to find clues through the threatening letter. "I threw it away after reading it." Wang Haoran was just making things up. Of course, it was impossible for him to take out the threatening letter. Ling Duanya felt a little regretful. Then she left with Qin Kai and Wang Xiang. Because of the bandits, the guests were all uneasy. A good birthday banquet ended unhappily just like that. Everyone went back to where they came from. During the afternoon class, Wang Haoran received a WeChat message from Fang Heng. It was a picture of a blue and white porcelain vase and a line of words, "A blue and white porcelain vase from the Tang Dynasty. Are you interested?" Obviously, Fang Heng had found a good treasure with the help of the golden finger. Wang Haoran did not know the value of these antiques, but he thought that they were from the Tang Dynasty. They must be worth a lot. "Of course I'm interested. How could Wang Haoran refuse someone who was giving him money? Then let's arrange a place to meet. You can tell me the time and place." Fang Heng immediately replied. "We'll meet at the entrance of Waterluster Middle School at 6 o'clock in the evening." "No problem." After ending the conversation with Fang Heng, Wang Haoran made a call. At the headquarters of Heavenly Fragrance, Fang Xian had a good rest last night. She had a good night's sleep, so she was very serious and devoted to her work today. "Director Zhen, this is the proposal for the new season's moisturizer from the planning department. Would you like to take a look?" Fang Xian stood in front of her desk and handed a document to Zhenli. "It's much better than last time." Zhenli looked through it and nodded slightly. However, she was still not completely satisfied. She pointed at a few details in the proposal. "Here and here. Let the planning department make some changes." "Okay." Fang Xian noted down the places that Zhenli mentioned. Zhenli was still looking through the proposal. It was obvious that she was still picking out the flaws. Fang Xian bent over slightly and waited patiently. All of a sudden, her phone rang. When she saw the caller ID, Fang Xian's heart subconsciously panicked. "Director Zhen, I want to go outside to take a private call. Is that okay?" Fang Xian asked carefully. "Is it your first day at work?" Zhenli frowned and asked back. It was against the rules to take a private call during work hours. She had no choice but to take the call. Fang Xian hesitated for a moment and could only tell the truth. It's your son." "Oh, then go take the call. Work isn't important." Zhen Li's expression immediately softened. "Thank you, Director Zhen." Fang Xian nodded and ran out of the office to take the call. "Your brother found something good again. I'm meeting him at the school gate to trade." Wang Haoran went straight to the point. "Okay, I'll ask Director Zhen for a leave of absence, but I don't know if she'll agree." Fang Xian had a lot of work to do. Plus, she had taken half a day off a few days ago, so she was worried. If she doesn't agree, Tell her that I asked you to take a leave of absence. Okay. When Fang Xian heard this, she immediately felt that there was no problem at all. With how much Zhanli spoiled her son, she would definitely agree to this request. 6 o'clock in the evening. Our school gate. Wang Haoran reported the time and place, then reminded her. Oh, right. When you come over, to prevent your brother from getting suspicious, you'd better find a suitable excuse to come over. It's best if your brother thinks that you met him by chance. Then I'll pretend that I'm working for the company and pass by the school. Fang Xian said, how about this? When you come over, go to a 5-star hotel to pack some food and bring it over. Wang Haoran gave a suggestion. After what happened at Mu Tsung's birthday banquet at noon, he only ate a few mouthfuls of food. He was starving in the afternoon. Okay, what do you want to eat? Fang Xian asked. You decide. I'll transfer the money to you. That's all. After that, Wang Haoran hung up the phone. A few seconds later, Fang Xian received a WeChat transfer. The amount was 30,000. Fang Xian was stunned. Was this the life of a rich person? 30,000 for dinner. Chapter 88. After ending the call with Fang Xian, Wang Haoran called Wang Xiang while he still had some time. How's it going? Who are those criminals after? Wang Haoran asked, even though he already knew the answer. They're not after our family. They're after Qin Kai. They're planning to kidnap Qin Yunhan, Wang Xiang replied. Oh, so that's how it is. Wang Haoran pretended to be enlightened. He then asked, who's the mastermind behind these criminals? I don't know. The person behind the scenes is very careful. He only sent a contact person to talk to them. Those criminals have never seen the person behind the scenes. They didn't even see the face of the contact person, let alone the person behind the scenes. They all talked online. That means the clues are completely lost. Wang Haoran sighed. Not exactly. What do you mean? Although those criminals haven't seen the contact person, they know that the contact person has a nickname called Eagle. After the police investigated, they found out that Eagle is one of Black Peony's men. Who's Black Peony? A woman who's more ruthless than a man. She's very popular among the underground forces in Qingling City. She's a fearsome figure, but in recent years, she's gradually cleaned herself up and started doing some legal businesses. Where does Black Peony usually go? There's a Black Peony bar on 19th Street in Qingling City. She owns that bar. She'll usually be there at night. Wang Xiang answered the question and immediately became curious. My dear son, why are you asking this? Nothing. I'm just curious, Wang Haoran replied vaguely. At that moment, the bell rang. He took the opportunity to say, I'm going to class. I have to go to class. Let's talk later. Bye-bye. Okay, my dear son. After hanging up the phone, Wang Haoran returned to his seat in the classroom. He was deep in thought. According to Wang Xiang, the mastermind behind Qin Yunhan's kidnapping should be related to Black Peony. Even if the mastermind behind the scenes was not Black Peony, with Black Peony's background and identity, she must have seen the mastermind behind the scenes. Black Peony was a key figure in solving Qin Kai's problem and destroying Xiao Yifeng's job as a bodyguard. Looks like I have to make a trip to the Black Peony bar. Wang Haoran made up his mind. With that thought in mind, he opened his attribute panel and checked his villain points. That Black Peony bar might be a dragon's lair or a tiger's den. If he wanted to go, it was best to raise his strength. He had accumulated another 3,200 villain points. Wang Haoran spent 3,000 villain points to exchange for 6 years of internal energy. At this moment, the attribute panel also changed. Host, Wang Haoran. Combat power, 1099 charm. 268 villain halo. 736 villain points. 200 skills. Master level painting and calligraphy copying skill. Master level combat Wing Chun skill. Singing god level singing skill. Best actor level acting skill. X-ray vision. Advanced poison skills. Top hacker skills. 18 years of internal energy. His combat power had increased to 1099, which brought about a huge improvement. Wang Haoran's physical fitness, reaction ability, and attack speed were all greatly enhanced. Within 30 meters, even if he was facing an enemy with a firearm in their hand, he could dodge in time, easily approach the enemy, and finish them off cleanly. A few minutes before 6 o'clock in the evening, Wang Haoran arrived at the school gate as promised. An online car-hailing car and a Ferrari stopped at the school gate almost at the same time. Fang Heng got out of the online car-hailing car. Fang Xian got out of the Ferrari. "Sister, why are you here? And you're driving such a cool supercar?" Fang Heng was surprised. Fang Xian opened the Ferrari's trunk, revealing some exquisite takeout boxes. "Our boss asked me to deliver food to her son. For convenience, the boss let me drive her car." After she explained, she pretended to be curious and asked her brother, "What about you? What are you doing here?" Fang Heng gestured to the 2-foot-tall bottle wrapped in a soft cloth in his arms. He said happily, "That's right. I found another treasure. Last time, he told me that he would accept all the treasures he found in the future, so I came to trade with him." While speaking, Fang Heng glanced at Wang Haoren. Fang Xian saw her brother's happy face and couldn't help but sigh in her heart, but on the surface, she still pretended to be surprised and smiled. Wang Haoren saw the different expressions of the two siblings and secretly smiled, then said to Fang Heng seriously, "Open it and let me see." Fang Heng put the soft cloth on the ground, then carefully placed the bottle on it. Wang Haoren squatted on the ground and pretended to study it, as if he was judging its authenticity. After a long while, he slowly said, "That's right. It does look like a blue and white porcelain from the Tang Dynasty. Name a price." Fang Heng was the one who told him all this information, and he only repeated it once. But it couldn't be helped. He really didn't know how to appraise treasures. "I've already asked an expert. The market price of this blue and white porcelain bottle is around 8 million. Fang Heng said, 8 million. Fang Xian couldn't help but cry out. Her brother was really crazy. His appetite was getting bigger and bigger. This broken bottle was actually worth 8 million? Wang Haoren's expression was normal, and he was even secretly a little happy. Because the more expensive the bottle was, the more he would earn. "We have a long-term cooperation in the future. Do you think it's appropriate to sell it to me at market price?" Unlike the last time, Wang Haoren didn't agree immediately. Instead, he bargained for a bit. He was afraid that if he agreed too quickly, Fang Heng would be suspicious. "Name a price. I'll see if I can accept it." Fang Heng hesitated and said, 5 million. Wang Haoren cut the price a little. 500,000 is too much. I can only accept 200,000. Let's each take a step back. How about 7 million? Fang Heng was silent for a few seconds before nodding. Okay. Although the market price of this blue and white porcelain bottle was 8 million, it would take some time to sell it at market price. It was good to lose 300,000 and sell it quickly. After all, the other party had agreed to a long-term acquisition. This small loss was still acceptable to Fang Heng. "Then I'll transfer the money to you." Seeing that Fang Heng agreed, Wang Haoren began to blindly operate on his phone. After a while, he still couldn't complete the transfer. "Is there a problem with your account? I can't transfer the money," Wang Haoren said. "How is that possible?" Fang Heng immediately questioned. "Are you trying to cheat me of my blue and white porcelain bottle? Ask your sister how much my family's assets are. Do I need to cheat you of a mere 7 million? Wang Haoren sneered. "Little Heng, maybe there really is a problem with your account." Fang Xian helped. "That's impossible. I recently withdrew the money. Everything is normal." Fang Heng was puzzled. "How about this?" Wang Haoren felt that the time was right, so he suggested, "I'll transfer the money to your sister's account." "Okay, try it." Fang Heng nodded without hesitation. Chapter 89. Seeing that Fang Heng agreed, Wang Haoren immediately operated his phone normally. In less than 10 minutes, 7 million was successfully transferred to Fang Xian's account. In order to make Fang Heng believe, Wang Haoren really transferred the money. "Brother, look, I received the transfer." Fang Xian showed the bank notification on her phone to Fang Heng. "It's good that you received it." Fang Heng was completely relieved and reached out his hand to Wang Haoren. Happy cooperation. Happy cooperation. Wang Haoren laughed in his heart and reached out to shake his hand. "Sister, you've already delivered the food. Let's go together." Fang Heng looked at the Ferrari parked by the side of the road and was very tempted. He wanted to try the feeling of riding in a supercar. He was even thinking about buying a Ferrari when he had the time. "Brother, you go back first. I still have some work to do after delivering the food." Fang Xian declined her brother's suggestion. This car was Zheng Li's, and Wang Haoren was present. She didn't want to use a Ferrari to carry people. She was afraid that her brother would be careless and damage the car. Zheng Li would then find trouble with her. Okay then, I'll hail a taxi. Fang Heng also understood his sister's difficulties, so he didn't insist. A taxi just happened to pass by. Fang Heng reached out to stop it and quickly disappeared from Fang Xian's sight. I'll go to the nearby bank and transfer the money back to you, Fang Xian said. Her bank account was a normal one. The speed of online transfers was far slower than a top bank customer like Wang Haoren. Under normal circumstances, it would only be processed within 24 hours. With such a large sum of money in her card, Fang Xian felt a lot more nervous. Therefore, she wanted to go to the nearby bank and quickly transfer the 7 million back to Wang Haoren. Wait a moment. I'll go with you after I finish eating. Huh? Fang Xian didn't understand. You're not happy to wait here for a while? Wang Haoren complained. No. Fang Xian quickly shook her head. She was still very moral. After receiving benefits from Wang Haoren, she was still willing to work without complaint. You guard this blue and white porcelain vase. I'll call the driver to come get it. Does that mean that I can leave after the driver takes the blue and white porcelain away? Of course not. Wait for me. I have something to talk to you about. Oh, got it. Wang Haoren carried the food to the classroom. What's in your hands? When he arrived at the classroom door, Qin Yunhan, who was looking at the scenery on the balcony next to the door, asked Wang Haoren curiously. Qin Yunhan was originally looking at the scenery on the balcony next to her classroom. However, when she saw Wang Haoren coming up from downstairs, she mysteriously went to the path that Wang Haoren had to take to get back to the classroom. I don't want to eat in the cafeteria today, so I got someone to pack some food from the hotel and send it over, Wang Haoren explained. Then he asked politely, Have you finished eating? Do you want to join us? Sure, I haven't eaten yet. Qin Yunhan couldn't wait to agree. Sister Yunhan, why are you here? Mu Zhaozhao suddenly walked over from afar and asked curiously. The view here is big. It's convenient to see the scenery downstairs. Qin Yunhan started to talk nonsense. Is that so? Mu Zhaozhao stood at Qin Yunhan's position and took a few glances. She didn't feel anything at all. Since you haven't eaten either, then come to my classroom and eat together. Wang Haoren said to Qin Yunhan. Sister Yunhan, didn't you eat in the cafeteria with me? Mu Zhaozhao didn't understand the situation and immediately asked without thinking. Qin Yunhan was embarrassed and annoyed. She glanced at her good sister and said angrily, I'm not full. I want to eat more. Is there a problem? No. Speaking of which, I'm not full either. Mu Zhaozhao touched her stomach and hinted. There's quite a lot of food. Why don't you join us? Wang Haoren said. Okay. Mu Zhaozhao immediately nodded. Wang Haoren came to the classroom and put a few desks together to form a simple dining table. He opened all the takeout boxes, and all the dishes inside were revealed. In an instant, the aroma filled the air. So sumptuous. Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao were both surprised. These dishes weren't inferior to the birthday banquet at noon. Wang Haoren was also a little surprised. He transferred 30,000 yuan to Fang Xian. A small part of it was to buy food, and a large part of it was for Fang Xian to run errands. However, Fang Xian was quite straightforward. She only thought that Wang Haoren wanted to eat a luxurious dinner, so she didn't think of embezzling from it. Instead, she spent all the 30,000 yuan. Ding! The host made one of the female leads, Su Muyin, jealous. The host has gained 200 villain points. Wang Haoren was taken aback by the sudden system notification. He immediately looked up. It turned out that Su Muyin had returned to the classroom. Hey, jealous king, add more villain points for me. Wang Haoren secretly called out, but pretended not to notice Su Muyin. He continued to eat with Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao. This guy's luck with women is really good. Su Muyin muttered softly. Wen Jing, who walked into the classroom with her, teased. School beauty, Su, is jealous? She was more open-minded and was very obsessed with Wang Haoren. Seeing Wang Haoren being pursued by so many beauties, it proved that Wang Haoren was excellent. Not only was Wenjing not jealous, but she was also a little happy. Who's jealous? I'm not. Su Muyin was as stubborn as ever. You're so beautiful, and you're not inferior to them. Go over. Otherwise, our class's school hunk will be snatched away by another class's school beauty. Where you put your face? Wenjing couldn't help but instigate. Su Muyin heard this and felt that it was very reasonable. Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao were from another class. They came to her class to eat with Wang Haoren and didn't feel embarrassed. What was she afraid of? Thinking this, Su Muyin also walked towards Wang Haoren's desk. Seeing you eat so happily, I'm hungry. Su Muyin revealed a sweet smile and said to Wang Haoren, Do you want to eat too? But I don't have any chopsticks. Fang Xian only took 3 sets of chopsticks and had already used them. Su Muyin took a deep breath and directly threw caution to the wind. She opened her mouth and said with a smile, I want to eat papaya stewed with pork trotters. Can you give it to me? Okay. Wang Haoren was stunned by Su Muyin's words, but he still nodded and agreed. He used his chopsticks to pick up a piece of papaya and pork trotters and sent them to Su Muyin's rosy little mouth. Su Muyin elegantly chewed and swallowed and said with a little excitement, It's so delicious I still want to eat. Okay. Wang Haoren looked at Su Muyin in surprise. There was something wrong with the jealousy king today. There were so many people in the classroom, but she was so shy and took the initiative. Could it be that she was provoked by Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao? Qin Yunhan was originally eating happily, but she was really tired of Su Muyin. She couldn't help but retort, You two aren't boyfriend and girlfriend. You let Wang Haoren pick up food for you. Aren't you ashamed? Ding, the host made one of the female leads, Qin Yunhan, jealous. Received 100 villain points. Wang Haoren was surprised and happy. The new jealousy king was born. Chapter 90. Although we're not boyfriend and girlfriend, we're very good friends. I'm just picking food for you. How is that bothering you? Facing Qin Yunhan, Su Muyin didn't back down. It's not bothering me, but I just want to say something. Can't I? Qin Yunhan was tit for tat. Then say what you want to say. I'll pretend I didn't hear it. Su Muyin snorted and looked at Wang Haoren with a smile. I want to eat papaya. Okay, I'll give it to you. Wang Haoren used his chopsticks to pick up the food. Qin Yunhan didn't say anything this time, but she looked a little unhappy. Ding, the host made one of the female leads, Qin Yunhan, jealous. The host gained 100 villain points. Su Muyin ate a few mouthfuls and her eyes were full of pride. Sister Yunhan, you should eat more papaya. It's the best for the body. Mu Zhaozhao was silent for a long time, then suddenly said this. She used her chopsticks to pick up a few large pieces of papaya and put them in a Qin Yunhan's bowl, so that Su Muyin wouldn't eat them all. Zhaozhao, don't say anything if you don't know how to talk. Qin Yunhan was so angry that she rolled her eyes. Her curves didn't look as good as Su Muyin's. Eating more papaya might make up for it, but she couldn't say this in public. Don't I have face? I'm full, so I won't eat anymore. Let's give it to someone who needs it. Su Muyin saw Qin Yunhan's expression and tried hard not to laugh. She turned to Wang Haoren and said, Are you very big? You have to compare with her. Qin Yunhan was so angry that she pulled Mu Zhaozhao up and pushed her to Su Muyin's side. Mu Zhaozhao was F. An ordinary woman couldn't compare to her. Su Muyin was between C and D. I'm not as good as you, but I'm better than you, Su Muyin said. She was in a good mood and went straight to Wenjing. Qin Yunhan was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Sister Yunhan, can I sit down now? Mu Zhaozhao mumbled with food still in her mouth. Your butt is on your body. If you want to sit, why don't you sit by yourself? Qin Yunhan glared at Mu Zhaozhao. Su Muyin had just insulted her. It's fine if this big and brainless best friend of hers didn't help her retort, but she actually poked at her shortcomings, making Su Muyin laugh at her. She was a pig teammate. Sister Yunhan, calm down. Eat more wood. Mu Zhaozhao comforted her. However, before she could finish, Qin Yunhan glared at her again. Mu Zhaozhao quickly shut her mouth and went to eat. Qin Yunhan retracted her gaze and glared hatefully at those papayas. Then, she steeled her heart and directly picked out the papayas and ate them all in one go. She knew that her curves weren't outstanding. She used to be quite open-minded. Although Mu Zhao Zhao often told her to eat more papayas, she didn't take it seriously. In her opinion, it was fine as long as she was happy. Why should she deliberately change herself? If her curves were more outstanding, it would just attract more attention from stinky boys. She didn't want that. But now, she had a strong urge to improve her curves. She also wanted to become a big woman. The 30-60 kind. Sai's sister Yunhan is crazy, Mu Zhao Zhao sighed to the side. Although she was a little naive and didn't know how to talk, she could see that Qin Yunhan obviously saw Su Mu Yin as a love rival. Sister Yunhan seemed to be experiencing her first awakening of love. She wanted to change for Wang Haoran, but then again, this Wang Haoran was really quite outstanding. He was handsome, had a good family background, and was so brave. His boyfriend potential was off the charts. Thinking of this, Mu Zhaozhao couldn't help but look at Wang Haoran a few more times. There was some commotion in the classroom. There was already a school bell in this class, and now there were two more. The 3 school bells of Waterluster High were all gathered in the same classroom today, and they surrounded Wang Haoran. All the boys were envious and jealous of Wang Haoran. The girls hated themselves for not being beautiful enough. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so close to the school honk. After dinner, Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao took the initiative to clean up the mess. Wang Haoran was also happy to relax. Since there was still some time before the evening's self-study session, he went to the school gate. Fang Xian was still waiting at the school gate, chatting nonchalantly. Let's go. Wang Haoran got into the front passenger seat of the Ferrari. Where are we going? Fang Xian got into the car and asked blankly. You changed your stockings again. How's the quality? Wang Haoran looked down and said with a smile. Fang Xian was stunned and started the Ferrari. She didn't need Wang Haoran to tell her where to go. For some things, if there was a first time and a second time, then there would be countless times. Fang Xian didn't reject it anymore. Ding! The host has captured one of the female leads, Fang Xian. The reward is 500 villain points. Fang Heng's protagonist, aura, -25. Fang Xian's female protagonist, aura, -25. The host's villain, aura, +50. A few minutes before the evening's self-study session ended, Wang Haoran didn't wait for the bell to ring and left the classroom. With his relationship with Song Jinyu, it was a piece of cake for him to leave the class a few minutes early. After leaving the classroom, Wang Haoran took the Ferrari keys and walked to the school gate. This Ferrari was driven by Fang Xian. Wang Haoran decided to go to the Black Peony Bar tonight, but he didn't want Wang Xiang to know about it. He didn't want him to worry, so he didn't plan to ask the driver to take him there. So he left the car and let Fang Xian take a taxi back to the company. During the holidays, Wang Haoran got his driver's license. Although he wasn't very experienced, he definitely had no problems on the road. But when Wang Haoran arrived at the school gate, he saw Qin Yunhan coming out of the security room with a delivery box. Qin Yunhan was obviously shocked. She subconsciously hid the small box behind her and then smiled. Wang Haoran, class isn't over yet and you're leaving already? Yeah, I have something to do, so I plan to leave early. Wang Haoran casually explained. Oh, Qin Yunhan nodded. Suddenly, she saw the Ferrari keys in Wang Haoran's hand and said mischievously, You drove yourself. You drove your own car? Where are you going? Home, of course. Where else? I don't believe you. You usually have a driver to pick you up when you go home, but today you drove yourself. There must be something wrong. Qin Yunhan was suspicious. Okay, actually I feel a little bored studying all day, so I want to find a place to relax. Wang Haoran replied half-truthfully. Where are you going? Take me with you. I've been feeling bored recently. Qin Yunhan frowned. Wang Haoran hesitated. He was going to do something serious. If he took Qin Yunhan with him, it would be inconvenient. I plan to go to a bar. This kind of place isn't suitable for you. You shouldn't go. Wang Haoran wanted her to back off. I've never been to a bar in my life. Take me. Take me. Qin Yunhan didn't back off. Instead, she became more interested. Chapter 91. You can go if you really want to, but you must keep it a secret. Seeing that Qin Yunhan was so interested, Wang Haoran did not object and just reminded her. Although it was inconvenient, to take Qin Yunhan to a bar. However, this was a good opportunity to spend some time alone with Qin Yunhan. Moreover, a place like a bar was full of crooks and honest people. If he encountered a few hooligans who wanted to rape Qin Yunhan, Wang Haoran could even chase them away and save the damsel in distress. This way, he could win Qin Yunhan's favor. If my dad knew that I went to such a place, he would probably scold me to death. Don't worry, I will keep it secret. Pinky promise. Qin Yunhan stretched out her pinky. Wang Haoran felt that it was very childish, but he still reluctantly made a pinky promise with her. The two walked out of the school gate together. What are you holding in your hand? Wang Haoran saw her hiding the delivery box and could not help but be curious. A delivery. Of course I know it's a delivery. I'm asking you what's inside. The delivery box had an English logo, but Wang Haoran had never seen it before. Snacks, it's snacks, Qin Yunhan said with a smile. Wang Haoran did not believe it. Qin Yunhan finished class early, obviously to get this delivery. If it was snacks, she would not hide it like this. Wang Haoran immediately used his X-ray vision to check it. Only then did he realize that the delivery box contained clothes. Clothes that were close to the body. According to the ABCD grading, it was estimated to be AB grade, which was the most common grade for Eastern women. It was obviously Qin Yunhan's size. The color was black. Black represented charm and mystery. This rich young lady was unruly and unreasonable on the surface, but she was actually quite coquettish on the inside. A red Ferrari sped on the road. After about 20 minutes, it stopped in front of a bar. The scissor door opened, and a handsome man and a beautiful woman walked out. A supercar, a handsome man, and a beautiful woman. This combination was particularly eye-catching. These two people were naturally Wang Haoran and Qin Yunhan. Seeing the supercar stop at the entrance, a valet immediately walked over and respectfully asked if he needed help parking the car. The bar's business was very good. Wang Haoran didn't see any parking spaces along the way. He threw out the keys and gave the valet a few hundred yuan as a tip. He then asked the valet to park the car. Wang Haoran, who was standing outside the bar, could hear the smell of alcohol and the roar of music coming from inside. Wang Haoran didn't go in immediately. Instead, he turned to Qin Yunhan and said, Qin Yunhan, can I hold your hand? Qin Yunhan was stunned by the question. There are a lot of punks in the bar. If we go in hand, they will think that we are a couple. This way, no one will hit on you and harass you. Wang Haoran fooled her without changing his expression. Okay, I'll listen to you. Qin Yunhan nodded shyly. Seeing that Qin Yunhan agreed, Wang Haoran also reached out and grabbed her delicate hand. Wang Haoran could clearly feel that this small hand trembled nervously. Ding! The host has touched the heart of the female lead Qin Yunhan. Received 100 villain points. Let's go in. Wang Haoran pulled Qin Yunhan into the bar. The air was filled with the smell of alcohol. Their ears were filled with music that shook their eardrums. In front of them were dazzling lights. On the dance floor of the bar, there were many men and women swaying. Wang Haoran brought Qin Yunhan to the counter. The waitress selling drinks immediately came over and asked them what drinks they needed. Qin Yunhan was new here, so she didn't know what kind of drinks were available. Wang Haoran actually wanted to help Qin Yunhan. He wanted to order a high alcohol content drink for her and get her drunk. But unfortunately, he came here for business. Even if he succeeded in getting Qin Yunhan drunk, he couldn't immediately take her away. This might even cause trouble for him. Wang Haoran had to give up on this idea for now. He only ordered 2 low-alcohol drinks. The waitress quickly brought the drinks over. Qin Yunhan came to a place she had never been to before. Like a curious baby, she drank her drink while looking around. Qin Yunhan, who was tall, beautiful, and had a pure and pleasant appearance, attracted the attention of many perverts around her. But no one came up to talk to her. Wang Haoran couldn't help but feel a bit worried. Fuck, aren't there a lot of punks in the bar? Why don't they come over and kiss Qin Yunhan? Otherwise, how can I be the hero who saves the damsel in distress? Is it because I'm in the way? Thinking of this, Wang Haoran pretended to go to the bathroom. He secretly observed Qin Yunhan. But after waiting for a while, still no one came over to kiss Qin Yunhan. Damn, This kind of hero saving the damsel in distress scene was really not related to the villain. Wang Haoran gave up and said to Qin Yunhan, "It's too noisy. Let's find a private room and sit for a while." The reason why he came to the private room was that there were many people here. Qin Yunhan could attract people to kiss her, and he could be the hero who saves the damsel in distress. But now it seemed that there was no chance. Since that was the case, there was no need to stay here. It was more important to get down to business. Okay, Qin Yunhan nodded. Wang Haoran left for a while and went to get 2 private rooms. After returning to the private room, he brought Qin Yunhan to one of the private rooms. The soundproofing in the private room was very good. It was much quieter than the noisy music outside the hall. When I want to get a private room, I saw an acquaintance. I'll go say hello and be back in a while. Wang Haoran wanted to get down to business. It was inconvenient for him to do it in front of Qin Yunhan, so he could only find an excuse to leave. All right, then come back quickly after you're done greeting them. Qin Yunhan felt a little scared to be left alone, so she reminded him. Wang Haoran nodded. After leaving the private room, he went to another private room. He pressed the communication bell in the private room. Soon, a waitress came to the private room. "Handsome, what kind of drinks do you want?" The waitress asked. "What's the best drink in your bar?" Wang Haoran asked. Hearing this, the waitress couldn't help but be happy. She had a commission for the drinks sold. The more expensive the drink, the higher the commission. Ace of Spades. "We have 6888 and 10888. Which one do you want?" The waitress quickly asked. 10 bottles of 10,888 Ace of Spades. Wang Haoran said casually. "Handsome, can you drink that much by yourself?" The waitress was shocked. "I can't drink. Can't I call someone over to drink?" Wang Haoran smiled meaningfully. When the girl heard this, she immediately understood and asked, "Handsome, do you need me to call a few beauties over to drink and chat with you?" "No need, one is enough." Wang Haoran put the cash check that he had already prepared on the table and pressed the Ferrari car key on a corner. The waitress couldn't help but look at the cash check and count the amount on it. 10 million? She thought she had counted wrongly, so she counted it 5 times in a row. Finally, she was sure. It really was a 10 million check. The handsome guy in front of her was a super rich second generation. "Handsome, who do you want to call over to drink with you?" The waitress came back to her senses and quickly asked. "Black Peony. Our boss never drinks with people." The waitress was shocked. Her eyes were wide open. "Go tell her that I'll give her $1 million for a bottle of wine." Chapter 92. 1 million for a bottle of beer. When the girl heard this, she was shocked. The monthly net profit of this bar was only a few $100,000. 1 million for a bottle of beer. Anyone would be willing to do such a good thing. And as far as she knew, the boss could drink quite a lot. Thinking of this, the girl immediately left the room to pass on the message. Wang Haoran waited quietly in the room. After a minute or two, his phone suddenly rang. He picked up the phone and saw that it was Qin Yunhan calling. "I need to chat with an acquaintance for a while. I'll come back later." Wang Haoran thought that Qin Yunhan was bored waiting alone, so she called to rush him. "There are 2 hooligans blocking me. They won't let me go. You come and save me." Qin Yunhan's trembling voice came from the other side of the phone. Wang Haoran was shocked, but at the same time, he was also a little happy. The hero saving the damsel in distress plot came. It came at the right time. "Where are you? Are you in the room?" Wang Haoran hurriedly asked. "I'm hiding in the women's washroom. They're waiting for me outside." "Don't hang up. I'll be right there." With that, Wang Haoran immediately got up from the sofa in the room. There was only one washroom in the bar. Wang Haoran just pretended to go there, so he knew where the washroom was. But on the way to the washroom, Wang Haoran saw Xiao Yifeng. Wang Haoran was stunned for a moment. Then he blamed himself for being careless. Wang Xiang and Qin Kai went to the police station together. Since Wang Xiang knew that the mastermind behind Qin Yunhan's kidnapping was related to Black Peony, then Qin Kai must know as well. If Qin Kai knew, then Xiao Yifeng would know as well. Xiao Yifeng obviously came for the same purpose as him. After sorting out the information, Wang Haoran could not help but complain. It seemed that the plot of Qin Yunhan being raped was completely arranged for Xiao Yifeng, so that Xiao Yifeng could save the damsel in distress. Wang Haoran noticed Xiao Yifeng. Naturally, Xiao Yifeng also noticed Wang Haoren. However, Xiao Yifeng only glanced at Wang Haoren with a disdainful look on his face. Then, he walked towards the men's room. Obviously, Xiao Yifeng didn't know that Qin Yunhan was here. He just wanted the bathroom. When Wang Haoren arrived at the washroom, he immediately saw two young men with colorful hair colors. The two young men were smoking as they talked. What if that pretty girl hides inside and doesn't come out? Let's wait a few more minutes. If she doesn't come out, we'll go in and look for her. She shouldn't have come alone, right? Will there be any trouble? This is our boss's territory. Who dares to provoke us? That's true. Wang Haoren did not immediately pay attention to the two young men. Instead, he spoke to Qin Yunhan on the phone. I'm just outside the washroom. Don't be afraid. You can come out. Okay. Qin Yunhan nodded and quickly ran out of the women's room. She hid behind Wang Haoren in fear. The two young men immediately surrounded Wang Haoren. Just the two of them? Wang Haoren did not pay attention to them first. Instead, he asked Qin Yunhan. Yes. Did they do anything to you? No, but they said some nasty things. Wang Haoren nodded, then immediately looked at the two young men and said in a commanding tone, "Kneel down and apologize to my friend. Then, slap yourself 10 times and I'll let you go." Haha, did I hear wrong? You little puff. One of the young men was just about to mock Wang Haoren, but before he could finish, he was kicked 4 or 5 meters away by Wang Haoren. Blood flowed out of his mouth. The other young man was stunned. His legs were trembling. He quickly lowered his head and said, before he could say the word apologize, he followed in the footsteps of his companion. Ding! The host intercepted the main character and taught a lesson to the hooligans who sexually assaulted the female lead, Qin Yunhan. The reward is 300 villain points, Xiao Yifeng's protagonist aura a -15, and the host's villain aura +15. Will it be okay to hit them so hard? Seeing the miserable appearance of the two young men, Qin Yunhan felt very relieved. However, she was more worried that it would cause trouble for Wang Haoren. They actually dared to assault you. I can't wait to kill them. Wang Haoren seemed to be blinded by anger. He was about to rush forward and kill the two young men who were vomiting blood. When his acting skills were displayed, anyone who saw it would believe it. Wang Haoren, don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive. Qin Yunhan tried her best to pull Wang Haoren. However, she was weak and couldn't hold him back. Therefore, she hugged Wang Haoren's waist from behind and used her body weight to pull him back. Wang Haoren finally calmed down and looked back at Qin Yunhan, who was hugging him. Qin Yunhan's face and ears were red. Like a frightened rabbit, she immediately let go of her hands. For a moment, she didn't dare to look directly at Wang Haoren's eyes. However, her heart was filled with emotions. I was just verbally assaulted by a few words, and he was so angry, as if he wanted to kill someone. I'm actually so important in his heart. Ding. One of the female leads, Qin Yunhan's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 65, admiration. Ding. The host changed the direction of the plot and gained 300 villain points. On the other side, the two injured young men supported each other and left in a sorry state. They're lucky. Wang Haoren pretended to be angry. He couldn't help but snort. Then he turned back. Qin Yunhan, you're not scared, right? No. Qin Yunhan shook her head. She changed from her usual unruly and willful appearance and said softly, "You can call me Yunhan from now on." Okay. Wang Haoren nodded. He knew that Qin Yunhan's heart was rippling. She wanted to get closer to him so that they would appear closer. At this time, he noticed with his X-ray vision that Xiao Yifeng was about to walk out of the bathroom. Let's go back to the room. Wang Haoren directly grabbed Qin Yunhan's hand. Qin Yunhan felt her small hand being held by a big hand, and the corner of her mouth unconsciously bloomed into a smile. Miss! Qin Yunhan and Wang Haoren had just walked a few steps when a surprise call came from behind. Qin Yunhan could tell that this voice belonged to Xiao Yifeng. Qin Yunhan directly pretended not to hear it and even sped up her footsteps. Xiao Yifeng quickly ran over and stopped in front of Qin Yunhan. Miss, it's really you. Xiao Yifeng's whole body trembled. He couldn't believe it. Why would Miss come to such a chaotic place like the bar? Moreover, she came with Wang Haoren. Moreover, the two of them were holding hands. Miss didn't resist at all. Obviously, Miss was willing to let Wang Haoran hold her hand. In other words, Miss fell in love with this rich second generation. Xiao Yifeng's heart couldn't help but ignite a raging fire of jealousy. Ding! The host caused the protagonist Xiao Yifeng to lose his mental balance and gained 300 villain points. Chapter 93. Hei Peony was already 29 years old this year. Her real name was Zhuo Qiu Chunyu. When she was 6 years old, her parents had been killed because of a dispute in the underworld. From then on, she had always been with her grandfather. The death of her parents was a huge blow to Zhuo Chunyu. It left a deep shadow in her heart and also planted a seed of hatred. Her vicious and merciless personality was also created because of this. After her grandfather died, the 18-year-old Zhuo Chunyu took over the territory her grandfather had conquered and became the boss of the underworld. In the following 5 years, Zhuo Chunyu's name spread far and wide. She became an existence that caused people to tremble in fear. Because of this, she received the nickname Black Peony. Peony's beauty was unparalleled and graceful. The two words peony were used to describe Zhuo Chunyu's beauty. As for the word black, it was naturally because of Zhuo Chunyu's viciousness. The nickname Black Peony came from this. When Zhuo Chunyu was in the limelight, all of Qingling City's business leaders trembled when they saw her. However, as society gradually stabilized, Zhuo Chunyu's influence gradually weakened. She no longer dared to be as unbridled as before. At the same time, Zhuo Chunyu could no longer continue her shady business. Because of this, she had no choice but to return to business. However, Zhuo Chunyu had not studied much and had no experience in business. She lost a lot of money from her investments. She lost 9 out of 10 times. This bar could be considered Hei Peony's only successful investment. Even so, this bar's monthly profit was only a few $100,000. It was barely enough to support her subordinates and maintain their lives. Zhuo Chunyu had thought of disbanding her subordinates and letting them find their own way. However, before her grandfather died, he told Zhuo Chunyu that she must inherit the territory he had conquered. Zhuo Chunyu did not want her grandfather to die with grievances. Moreover, if they really were to disband, these subordinates would not be willing. They did not have any skills and had not studied much. Their only ability was that they had a bit of strength. If they really wanted to find a job, they would probably only be able to carry bricks at construction sites. But these guys were used to being carefree. How could they be willing to carry bricks? In order to continue maintaining the territory her grandfather had left behind, Zhuo Chunyu was worried and dreamed of getting rich. In the past, she was a glamorous big sister, but now, she was just a female boss who was worried about money. 7 years ago, if Zhuo Chunyu had heard that someone had asked her to accompany them in drinking, she would have been furious. Zhuo Chunyu would definitely not say another word. She would immediately call for her subordinates to kill the other party. But now, Zhuo Chunyu had to lower her status for the sake of living. 1 million for a bottle of wine. This was a great thing. Her alcohol tolerance was very good. She could drink at least 5 bottles. 5 bottles would cost 5 million. This money was too easy to earn. As for the possibility that the other party might take advantage of him, Zhuo Chunyu was not worried at all. She had never been taken advantage of by a man in her entire life. Lead the way, Zhuo Chunyu said to the waitress. Miss, why did you come to a place like a bar? It's too depraved. If your father knew that you came to a place like this, he would be heartbroken. Xiao Yifeng said to Qin Yunhan. How is my coming to a bar a degenerate? Qin Yunhan couldn't help but find it a little funny. She then said with a warning, I'm telling you, don't snitch on me to my father. Otherwise, you'll get it. I can keep this a secret if you want, but you have to promise me that you will keep a distance from this Wang Haoran in the future, Xiao Yifeng bargained. What a joke. What does my relationship with Wang Haoran have to do with you? Qin Yunhan curled her lips. He doesn't look like a good person. He definitely doesn't have good intentions bringing you to a bar. Maybe he wants to get you drunk and bully you. Xiao Yifeng said, You're thinking too much. I was the one who wanted to come with him. Qin Yunhan sneered and said impatiently, "Why am I talking to you so much? You should stay away from me. Nothing good happens every time I see you." As soon as she finished speaking, a dozen young men quickly walked over and surrounded Wang Haoran and Qin Yunhan. Two of the young men who were staggering were the two who were kicked away by Wang Haoran. Obviously, they were here to seek revenge. "I told you that you're a jinx." Qin Yunhan was nervous and angry as she glared at Xiao Yifeng. "Miss, don't worry. I'll protect you." These dozen young men were aggressive, but Xiao Yifeng didn't care at all. "Brothers, it's that guy." The two young men pointed at Wang Haoran angrily. "Aren't you good at fighting? Hurry up and deal with them." Qin Yunhan ordered Xiao Yifeng. "Miss, I'm only responsible for protecting you. Other things have nothing to do with me." Xiao Yifeng shook his head and refused. This group of people was obviously here to find trouble with Wang Haoran. He couldn't wait for Wang Haoran to be beaten up. Why would he help Wang Haoran? "Xiao Yifeng, I order you to go. Otherwise, I'll ask my dad to fire you," Qin Yunhan said anxiously. "Eldest miss, there are too many people on the other side. I have to put your safety first. I believe that Uncle Qin will definitely understand me." Xiao Yifeng had an appearance of a dead pig that wasn't afraid of boiling water. "You!" Qin Yunhan was so angry that she stomped her feet. "I don't need his help. I can deal with it myself." Wang Haoran patted Qin Yunhan's shoulder to calm her down. With his current combat strength, even Xiao Yifeng wasn't his opponent. Why would he be afraid of these dozen young men? "What's going on?" Before Wang Haoran could do anything, a woman's domineering voice came from the crowd. The crowd automatically parted to make a path, and an enchanting woman could be seen walking over. "Boss! Boss!" The group of young men bowed respectfully. Seeing this, Wang Haoran's eyes moved slightly. He subconsciously looked at this seductive woman. She was wearing an off-shoulder black and red patterned dress that accentuated her graceful figure. Her wine-red wavy hair fell naturally on her shoulders. Her flawless, snow-white face was expressionless, but there was an indescribable charm to it. Her snow-white, slender legs were naturally charming as she walked. Wang Haoran only took a few glances. His heartbeat and blood flow unconsciously sped up. Then, he couldn't help but use his X-ray vision. That figure was simply deadly. Wang Haoran was afraid of making a fool of himself. He immediately retracted his X-ray vision. Based on the reaction of the young men, this woman must be Black Peony. She was so beautiful and had such a unique background. Looking at those urban novels, there was a female lead who was a mafia boss. Zhuqiu Qinyu fit all these criteria. Wang Haoran immediately used 100 villain points to check. Female lead, Zhuqiu Qinyu, combat strength, 191, charm, 279, female lead aura, for 153, skills, natural seduction, advanced assassination technique, favorability to the host, 0, like a stranger, she really was the female lead. Chapter 94. There were too many beauties in this city. Xiao Yifeng stared at Zhuqiu Qinyu without blinking. He kept swallowing his saliva. He did not try to hide his perverted appearance. He had even forgotten his true purpose for coming here. Zhuqiu Qinyu noticed his gaze and could not help but frown. However, she did not pay him any attention. Instead, she looked at Wang Haoran. She had originally wanted the waitress to bring her to a private room. However, the waitress saw Wang Haoran halfway. Zhuqiu Qinyu walked over. Looking at the situation around her, Wang Haoran seemed to have gotten into a conflict with her underlings. More accurately, it was Wang Haoran who had hit her underlings. "You too, tell me what happened." Zhuqiu Qinyu looked around at her underlings. Her gaze landed on the two youths who had clearly been hit. "Boss, it's like this." The two youths revered Zhuqiu Qinyu like a god. They did not dare to lie and told her everything. "I seem to have told you that you can play around in the bar, but the prerequisite is that the girl is willing. However, you are deliberately harassing a customer," Zhuqiu Qinyu said coldly. "She opened this bar. Since she opened the door to do business, she had to follow the rules." Zhuqiu Qinyu had warned her underlings about this. "Boss, we were wrong. We will follow your instructions on how to deal with this." The two youths immediately knelt down and admitted their guilt. Of course, they knew the rules set by their boss. However, the two of them saw that Qin Yunhan was too beautiful and could not hold back their thoughts. They hoped that their boss would not find out and wanted to take advantage of her. Unfortunately, they did not succeed. Now, the matter had been exposed and had reached their boss's ears. Where are the others? Knowing that these two broke the rules, why are you still helping them? Zhuqiu Qinyu questioned the other underlings. Seeing this, the underlings all lowered their heads and admitted their mistakes. The two who broke the rules will kneel in front of the statue of Guanyu for 3 days. Aside from drinking water, they are not allowed to eat anything. The rest of you who helped, kneel for 1 day. Zhuqiu Qinyu ordered the underlings. Yes, boss. The faces of the subordinates all looked as if they had lost their parents, but no one questioned Zhuqiu Qinyu's decision. After the group of underlings left, Zhuqiu Qinyu walked in front of Wang Haoran. She was slightly stunned. The waitress did not mention Wang Haoran's age, so Zhuqiu Qinyu subconsciously assumed that he was a middle-aged boss. However, he didn't expect that the one who spent millions was a little boy who wasn't even 20 years old. What made her feel even more strange was that this little boy had brought along a young and beautiful little girl. Interesting. Can we talk somewhere else? Zhuqiu Qinyu did not expose Wang Haoran's extravagant spending of 10 million to drink with her. Wang Haoran nodded in tacit agreement. However, he did not immediately leave with Zhuqiu Qinyu. Instead, he brought Qin Yunhan back to the private room from before. Wait for me here. I'll be back soon. Wang Haoran warned. Yes. Qin Yunhan had many questions in her heart, but she did not ask them. Instead, she nodded stiffly. Wang Haoran arrived at the other private room. Zhuqiu Qinyu was already sitting on the sofa, waiting for him. Was it your little girlfriend, just now? You brought your beautiful little girlfriend here, but you're looking for another woman to drink with. You rich second-generation heirs are really interesting, Zhuqiu Qinyu teased. Hearing this, Wang Haoran was slightly stunned. This Zhuqiu Qinyu did not seem to know Qin Yunhan. That meant that she did not have any enmity with the Qin family. Because if there really was enmity, Zhuqiu Qinyu would have gone to find out more about Qin Kai's only daughter, Qin Yunhan. The mastermind behind the kidnapping of Qin Yunhan should be someone else. Zhuqiu Qinyu is just an informed middleman. Let's not talk about this. Let's talk about something more interesting. Wang Haoran changed the topic. Okay. Zhuqiu Qinyu glanced at the 10 bottles of Ace of Spades on the table. Let's not talk nonsense. Let's drink. 1 bottle for 1 million. That's what you said. There are only 10 bottles here. Even if you have the ability to drink all of them, you'll only earn 10 million. Do you have to be so impatient to earn such a small amount of money? Wang Haoran smiled with interest. Zhuqiu Qinyu's brows immediately furrowed. She said coldly, even though you're very rich, if you come to mock and humiliate me today, you'll definitely regret it. Don't be nervous. I'm actually here to talk business with you, Wang Haoran said. I only do legitimate business. Legitimate business? Finding someone to kidnap the Qin group's daughter is legitimate business? Wang Haoran narrowed his eyes. Zhuqiu Qinyu said indifferently, I don't understand what you're saying. I want to know who hired you to kidnap the Qin group's daughter. As a reward, I'll pay 10 million for your information, Wang Haoran said straightforwardly. His original plan was to use force to force Zhuqiu Qinyu and obtain information about the mastermind behind the kidnapping of Qin Yunhan. But after knowing that Zhuqiu Qinyu was one of the female leads, he changed his mind. 10 million for a piece of information. This is indeed a very good deal, but unfortunately, I am only doing honest business right now. The kidnapping of the Qin clan's daughter has nothing to do with me, Zhuqiu Qinyu said with a face full of regret. According to what I know, you seem to have a subordinate called Old Eagle, right? Wang Haoran probed. Yes, but I instructed my subordinates to engage in proper business. Old Eagle privately accepted work and broke the rules. A month ago, he was kicked out by me. He is no longer my subordinate. Whatever work he accepts or does has nothing to do with me, Zhuqiu Qinyu said. When Wang Haoran heard this, he couldn't help but frown. If this matter was related to Zhuqiu Qinyu, he could take the check and give her fake information. But now she was saying this. Then it seemed that the kidnapping of Qin Yunhan really had nothing to do with Zhuqiu Qinyu. If that was the case, wouldn't the clues be cut off again? F***CK. Fine, I believe you. But since Old Eagle used to be your subordinate, you should have some understanding of him. I want you to find this person as soon as possible, Wang Haoran said again. In all my life, no one has ever dared to use such a commanding tone with me. Are you looking to die? Zhuqiu Chunyu's charming eyes revealed an ominous glint. 3 days. I'll give you 3 days. After 3 days, I want you to know where Old Eagle is. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Wang Haoran wasn't scared. Instead, he threatened her even more fiercely. So what if I'm a big sister? So what if I have many subordinates? I'm a supervillain, a top boss. Do you think I'll be scared of you? Even if all your subordinates come, I can take care of them all by myself. Chapter 95. Brat, you don't know your place. Zhuqiu Qinyu was furious. Although she was doing legitimate business now, her ruthlessness had not changed. Now that someone was about to step on her face, how could she endure it? A fair hand grabbed an ashtray and slammed it toward Wang Haoran's head. The ashtray weighed 2 to 3 kilograms. If it hit a person's head, it would cause a bloody head injury, and a heavy blow could kill a person. This Zhuqiu Qinyu was truly ruthless. However, before the ashtray in Zhuqiu Qinyu's hand could land, her neck was gripped by a strong hand. Then, the hand exerted force upward, lifting Zhuqiu Qinyu's feet off the ground. Zhuqiu Qinyu could not help but let go of the ashtray and use her hand to pull away the hand that was gripping her neck. However, she could not pull it away at all. Originally, Wang Haoran wanted to be kind because Zhuqiu Qinyu was the female lead, but this woman was too ruthless. If he was hit by such a heavy ashtray, even if he did not die, he would become brain damaged. In his anger, Wang Haoran could not be bothered to reason with Zhuqiu Qinyu. You're ruthless, aren't you? I'm even more ruthless than you. I don't believe that I can't deal with you. Within 3 days, I want information on Old Eagle. Is there a problem? Wang Haoran said coldly. I never allow anyone to threaten me. Zhuqiu Qinyu found it difficult to breathe, and her face turned purple. However, she still clenched her teeth and refused to speak. You have a backbone. I admire you, but unfortunately, you will take this backbone with you to hell. Wang Haoran's hand gradually exerted force, revealing a murderous aura. Zhuqiu Qinyu felt extremely uncomfortable. Due to the lack of oxygen, she felt dizzy. In an instant, she even felt that she was on the brink of death. I promise you. Zhuqiu Qinyu spat out a few words with difficulty. As soon as she finished speaking, she fainted. When she regained consciousness, she found herself lying on the sofa. Beside her sat Wang Haoran. Zhuqiu Qinyu's heart was filled with shock. She really could not understand how this little boy, who looked less than 20 years old, could have such frightening martial strength. In any case, she was a big sister who had charged and broken through enemy lines in a crowd. But in front of Wang Haoran, she had no power to resist at all. Zhuqiu Qinyu's heart surged. Wang Haoran's heart was also very unsettled. Earlier, when Zhuqiu Qinyu had fainted, he had treated her. The treatment was the usual artificial respiration. Of course, Wang Haoran also helped him check his body out of friendship. His motive was simple. After all, she was the female lead of Xiao Yifeng's storyline. Xiao Yifeng was a miracle doctor. With Ling Duanya as an example, Wang Haoran naturally had enough reason to suspect that Zhuqiu Qinyu was also mentally ill. But after examining her, he found that Zhuqiu Qinyu was very healthy. However, one of the test results shocked Wang Haoran. Can you believe it? This Zhuqiu Qinyu was almost 30 years old, and she was still a virgin, growing up in such a chaotic environment. How could she preserve her innocence? It was simply too inconceivable. Sure enough, it was the female lead's first-time setting. It seems that life is more important than integrity. Wang Haoran suddenly broke the silence and said jokingly. Zhuqiu Qinyu gritted her teeth and clenched her fists, but did not speak. Don't look like that. Look at your right hand, Wang Haoran suddenly said. Zhuqiu Qinyu did not understand what he meant, but she still subconsciously raised her right hand to look. She saw a red dot on her palm. She remembered that there was nothing on her palm. What was this red dot? What did you do to me? Zhuoqiu, Qinyu exclaimed. In order to make you more obedient, I gave you something to eat. But you don't need to be nervous. I will give you the antidote at regular intervals. I won't let you die, Wang Haoran explained. This medicine was something he had concocted when he had nothing to do with his high-level poison skills. It had only come in handy today. Zhuoqiu Chunyu was both shocked and angry. She wanted nothing more than to strangle Wang Haoran to death, but her mind was still clear. She knew that she could not beat him, so she did not make a move. You're very proficient in assassination, right? I only did this so that I could sleep more peacefully at night, Wang Haoran suddenly said. Zhuoqiu Chun Yu's delicate body trembled. She had just been nearly strangled to death by Wang Haoran. She could not take this lying down. In her heart, she was thinking of taking advantage of the time when Wang Haoran was sleeping to kill him. How do you know that I'm proficient in assassination? Zhuoqiu Chunyu was somewhat puzzled. Even her underlings did not know this information. She did not understand how Wang Haoran knew. You don't need to worry about that. You only need to do as I say. Wang Haoran paused, then continued. If you perform well, I will consider giving you a legitimate business that can make a lot of money. It's much better than running this lousy bar. Really? Zhuoqiu Chunyu could not help but feel somewhat moved. Who didn't want to make a lot of money? However, she did not have enough ability. She could only rely on the bar to make some money. And this little bit of money was barely enough to support her underlings. She also wanted to live in a luxurious mansion, drive a sports car, buy the best cosmetics, and wear the most expensive clothes. Of course it's true, Wang Haoran replied with certainty. Zhuoqiu Chunyu was delighted, but she quickly calmed down and said, Then what do I need to pay? Her appearance was too good. In Qingling City, there were many big bosses who had thrown her an olive branch, but she had chased them away with a knife. This little boy in front of her, could it be that he also had the same intention? I want you, Wang Haoran said straightforwardly. Hearing this, Zhuoqiu Chunyu finally confirmed his thoughts. She resolutely said, Then you might as well just kill me. Her attitude was clearly that she would rather die than comply. Wang Haoran felt a bit of regret. This Zhuoqiu Chunyu was not like Feng Xian, who had a weakness that was more important than life. It seemed that when dealing with the female lead, Zhuoqiu Chunyu, he could not use the same method as Feng Xian. After sorting out his thoughts, Wang Haoran suddenly said, Don't worry, before you are willing, I won't even touch a finger of yours. Little boy, you can't be dreaming that I will fall in love with you, right? Zhuoqiu Chunyu laughed. Little boy, after you fall in love with me, I will definitely let you experience it. At that time, you won't think of me as a little boy, Wang Haoran said with deep meaning in his eyes. That day will not come. Zhuoqiu Chunyu's red lips curled up as she slightly sneered. Give me news in 3 days. I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving first. Wang Haoran got up from the sofa, picked up the Ferrari key, and prepared to leave. You're not taking the check with you? Zhuoqiu Chunyu asked suspiciously. That's your pocket money for this month. Wang Haoran left behind an enchanting smile, then disappeared from Zhuoqiu Chunyu's sight. Zhuoqiu Chunyu was stunned in place. Pocket money of 10 million yuan a month? Ever since Zhuoqiu Chunyu became the boss, the money that belonged to her had never reached 10 million yuan. And now, 10 million yuan was within her reach. She had only agreed to help Wang Haoran because she had been coerced. She had not truly obeyed him. She really wanted to harden her backbone and treat the 10 million yuan check as air. But thinking back, she was already 29 years old this year. It was said that after a woman turned 25, her appearance, skin, and figure would begin to decline. Although she took good care of herself and still looked like she was 24 or 25, what about in a few years? She did not have much money left. With this 10 million yuan, she could buy the best skincare products and go to the best beauty salon. If you use this money, you're too spineless. How much is a pound of backbone? Compared to beauty, it's nothing. The two thoughts in Zhuoqiu Chunyu's mind fought. In the end, backbone lost to beauty. At the same time, Wang Haoran received a system notification. Ding! The female leads Xiao Chunyu's favorability towards the host has increased by 20. Current favorability is 20, very friendly. Ding, the host has influenced the plot. Received 400 villain points. Oh. Chapter 96. After leaving Zhuqiu Chunyu's field of vision, Wang Haoran arrived outside the room where Qin Yunhan was. Xiao Yifeng was standing guard at the door of the room. Xiao Yifeng's expression was slightly sullen. Wang Haoran thought for a moment and knew that he was probably kicked out by Qin Yunhan after entering the room. That was why he had no choice but to stand guard outside. Wang Haoran walked past Xiao Yifeng and directly entered the room. Go away, don't come in. I get annoyed when I see you. Ha, it's you. Qin Yunhan lowered her head and played with her phone. After hearing the sound of the door opening, she immediately spoke impatiently. However, when she raised her head, she saw the face of a boy that made her heart flutter. Only then did she swallow her words and couldn't help but smile. It's late. Let's go back. Okay. Qin Yunhan got up from the sofa and left with Wang Haoran. When she went out and passed by Xiao Yifeng, she warned him with a cold face. I'm telling you, don't tell my father about this. Miss, I can promise you, but can you not be so fierce to me in the future? Xiao Yifeng laughed. Okay, I promise you. Remember not to tell anyone about me coming to the bar. Qin Yunhan reminded him again. Of course. Xiao Yifeng nodded fiercely. After talking to Xiao Yifeng, Qin Yunhan followed Wang Haoran and left. After leaving Xiao Yifeng's field of vision, Qin Yunhan hurriedly explained to Wang Haoran. I'm so annoyed with that Xiao Yifeng. The reason why I was nice to him just now was because I hoped that he would keep it a secret and not tell my father about us coming to the bar. I understand. Wang Haoran smiled. Qin Yunhan deliberately explained. Obviously, she cared about his thoughts and was afraid that he would misunderstand. The two of them left the bar and left in a Ferrari. Wang Haoran was not afraid that Xiao Yifeng would stay here, so he went to ask Zhuqiu Chunyu for information. If he were in Xiao Yifeng's shoes, he would not be at ease leaving Qin Yunhan alone with him. At this moment, he was probably following behind the Ferrari. Wang Haoran was too lazy to care about him. Qin Yunhan's favorable impression of him had already reached 65 points. He only needed to raise a little more and it would cause a qualitative leap. Wang Haoran pondered for a moment. Suddenly, he said to Qin Yunhan, Do you think it's strange that I would talk to Zhuqiu Chunyu in private? That beautiful female boss is called Zhuqiu Chunyu. That's a pretty name. If I only had that name, I would not be able to connect her with a female boss. Qin Yunhan sighed slightly. Then, she responded to Wang Haoran's words. I do think it's a bit strange. Logically speaking, you should not have anything to do with such a person, right? I also don't want to deal with such a person, but she is related to the person who kidnapped you. Wang Haoran's words were half true and half false. You came here because of me? Qin Yunhan said in surprise. Yes. Wang Haoran nodded. What he said was true. He did come here because of Qin Yunhan, although it was only a part of the reason. Qin Yunhan's heart was in turmoil. She could not calm down for a long time. She whispered, Why did you do such a dangerous thing yourself? I was too worried about you. I don't want anything to happen to you. Wang Haoran's expression was sincere, as if he was revealing his true feelings. Qin Yunhan's delicate body trembled. She looked at him in disbelief. Why are you so good to me? Wang Haoran did not say anything. He only used one hand to grab Qin Yunhan's small hand. Qin Yunhan naturally understood the meaning behind it. Her heart jumped with joy. The scene fell silent. The two of them did not speak. However, silence spoke louder than words. Ding! The female lead Qin Yunhan's favorability towards the host has increased by 10. Current favorability is 75. Unchanging feelings. Ding! The host has greatly affected the direction of the plot. Received 800 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist aura -30. Host villain aura +30. It really worked? Wang Haoran received the system notification and could not help but secretly smile. He deliberately said that he was looking for Zhuqiu Chunyu to solve Qin Yunhan's problem. He wanted to see if he could gain Qin Yunhan's favorability. However, he was not sure if this method would work. But now, It seemed that Qin Yunhan's favorability towards him had greatly increased. However, thinking about it, Qin Yunhan did not know his true abilities. She thought that it would be dangerous for him to go to Zhuoqiu Qinyu's territory. A boy was willing to take such a big risk for her. How could she not be moved? Speaking of which, Qin Yunhan had unknowingly become the one who had the highest favorability towards him among the female leads. It had reached 75. It was 5 points higher than Su Muyan. 75 favorability. Her tolerance should be very high, right? Wang Haoran secretly thought to himself. He suddenly let go of Qin Yunhan's hand and tentatively placed it on Qin Yunhan's long white legs. Qin Yunhan trembled, but did not make a sound. Wang Haoran used his hand to pinch. Qin Yunhan still did not say anything. It was as if nothing had happened. Wang Haoran felt that this was very interesting. He wanted to take it a step further, but his driving skills were limited. Driving a Ferrari with one hand was a bit dangerous. He had to forcefully suppress his bad thoughts. The future was long, so there was no rush. The Ferrari sped along the road and soon arrived at the entrance of Waterluster Middle School. After Qin Yunhan got out of the car, Wang Haoran watched her walk into the school. Wang Haoran turned around and returned to the Ferrari. However, he did not immediately leave. Instead, he used his X-ray vision to look around. He quickly found Xiao Yifeng's figure in a taxi behind him. As expected, Xiao Yifeng was worried that Qin Yunhan would be alone with him. So, he followed her from the bar. Fortunately, Miss still has self-respect. She did not stay out all night and go to other places with Wang Haoran. Xiao Yifeng saw that Qin Yunhan had entered the school and could not help but let out a sigh of relief. He could see that Miss seemed to like Wang Haoran. However, from Miss's actions, she was still innocent. Damn, I forgot the important thing. Xiao Yifeng suddenly could not help but slap his thigh. His attention was placed on Qin Yunhan. He completely forgot the purpose of going to the Black Peony Bar. Xiao Yifeng wanted the taxi driver to return to the bar. However, at this time, his phone suddenly rang. The caller ID showed that it was Qin Kai. Yifeng, how's the investigation going? After the call connected, Qin Kai asked. It's not clear yet. Xiao Yifeng followed the agreement and did not mention that Qin Yunhan went to the bar. You were gone for so long. What did you do? Qin Kai's tone was slightly surprised. He was starting to doubt Xiao Yifeng's ability. Uncle Qin, don't worry. Give me some time. I will definitely investigate this matter. Xiao Yifeng promised. If you didn't find anything, then forget about it. I received some reliable information. That old eagle has already left Black Peony's influence. Investigating from Black Peony's side probably won't be of much use. I might as well spend some money to buy information on Old Eagle. Since I can't find anything from Black Peony, I won't look for her. If there's any news on Old Eagle, Uncle Qin, you must tell me immediately. Xiao Yifeng was very anxious to help Miss solve this crisis. At that time, Miss's attitude towards him would definitely change greatly. That Wang Haoran was able to win Miss's heart. Wasn't it because he was lucky enough to save Miss a few times? In terms of ability, Xiao Yifeng did not put Wang Haoran in his eyes at all. What Xiao Yifeng did not know was that Wang Haoran used his X-ray vision to read lips and knew what Xiao Yifeng said. Wang Haoran was slightly relieved. This was because he was not sure if Xiao Yifeng could cure the poison he had used on Zhuoqiu Qinyu. Now it seemed that Xiao Yifeng had no intention of getting close to Zhuoqiu Qinyu for the time being. Naturally, he did not need to worry about this matter in the short term. Chapter 97. Wang Haoran gave Zhuoqiu Qinyu 3 days to investigate Old Eagle's whereabouts. While waiting for news, Fang Heng bought a few more small antiques, which totaled up to 12 million yuan. Wang Haoran transferred the money to Fang Xian, just like last time. In just a few days, Fang Heng's money tree had earned close to 20 million yuan. At this rate, Wang Haoran estimated that he could earn 1 or 200 million yuan in a month. The money was flowing like a river. Now, he didn't need to take money from his family to maintain a luxurious lifestyle. After earning so much money, Wang Haoran really wanted to celebrate and try out the decadent lifestyle of a rich young master. After the evening's self-study session, he sent a message to Wen Jing, telling her not to go back that night. Wen Jing didn't say anything and happily agreed. On the other side, Wang Haoran called Fang Xian and asked her to come out. When Jing was so obedient, she would definitely be able to accept doing something overboard. Fang Xian, with her personality, might not be able to accept it. However, Wang Haoran didn't care about what she thought, and he didn't need her heart. Of course, Wang Haoran still planned to use peaceful means before resorting to force. In order to prepare them mentally, he even booked 2 presidential suites for Wan Jing and Fang Xian. Wang Haoran was excited and planned to first prepare Fang Xian. However, before he opened the door, his phone suddenly rang. He immediately felt a little annoyed. It was already so late. Who the hell was bothering him? Wang Haoran wanted to hang up, but when he looked at the caller ID, he saw that it was Zhuo Qiuqinyu. He couldn't help but suppress his desire to enjoy himself and answer the call. My subordinates found traces of Old Eagle's activities near Tianxin residential area, Zhuo Qiuqinyu reported. Is the news true? Do you think I would dare lie to you? Zhuo Qiuqinyu said self-deprecatingly. She had been poisoned by Wang Haoran, and her life was in the hands of Wang Haoran. How could she dare to deceive Wang Haoran? Send Eagle's picture to my phone. All right. After ending the call, Wang Haoran fell into deep thought. Now that everyone was looking for Old Eagle, he was probably hiding in the Sky Heart district. However, with so many residents in the neighborhood, it wasn't an easy task to find Old Eagle. After all, there were so many residents in the neighborhood. Tianxin district? Wang Haoran felt that the name sounded familiar. He quickly checked the map and found that the neighborhood was near Waterluster High School. He had been there when he sent Song Jinyu back to the residential building. Song Jinyu lived in Tianxin district. According to the setting of the female lead attracting danger, would she encounter Old Eagle? Wang Haoran secretly guessed. Qingling City was so big, but Old Eagle didn't hide in it. Instead, he chose to hide in Tianxin district where the female lead lived. And Qin Kai was definitely doing his best to find Old Eagle. With Qin Kai's wealth, it wouldn't be difficult for him to get information on Old Eagle through his connections. If Qin Kai knew where Old Eagle was, then Xiao Yifeng would definitely know as well. In that case, Xiao Yifeng might go to Tianxin district. With all this information put together, the possibility of triggering the original plot in Tianxin district was very high. It seemed that he had to make a trip there immediately. Wang Haoran secretly made up his mind. With this thought in mind, he first pushed open the door and walked into the presidential suite where Fang Xian was staying. Fang Xian was wearing a slippery silk nightgown and sitting on the edge of the bed. Her hair was still wet, and it was clear that she had just taken a shower. Her gaze was a little sluggish as she waited for what was about to happen. I've already paid for the room. You should rest. If you have to go to work tomorrow morning, just leave, Wang Haoran said to Fang Xian. He didn't know how long he would be busy tonight, and he wasn't even sure if he would come back. After seeing Wang Haoran leave, Fang Xian was stunned and took a long time to recover. What did he mean? He called her out, but he left without doing anything. Could it be that he's tired of me? Thinking of this, Fang Xian inexplicably felt a faint sadness and loneliness in her heart. Wang Haoran hailed a taxi and quickly arrived at Tianxin district. However, he didn't get out of the car immediately. Instead, he used his X-ray vision to examine his surroundings. Very quickly, he saw Xiao Yifeng's figure in the security booth at the entrance of the district. The main character was really here. It seemed that the possibility of triggering the original plot here was almost 100%. Wang Haoran found a secluded place to stay and got out of the car. He avoided Xiao Yifeng's field of vision and slipped into the district. He had been here several times and was no stranger to this place. Soon, he found the residential building that Song Jinyu was renting. It was already very late. If he went to look for Song Jinyu rashly, he wouldn't know how to explain it. Song Jinyu lived on the 3rd floor, which wasn't very high. Wang Haoran climbed up from the pipe at the edge of the building and came to the eaves outside Song Jinyu's bedroom window. There was still light in the room. Song Jinyu obviously hadn't gone to bed yet. Wang Haoran used his X-ray vision to look inside. After seeing clearly, he couldn't help but sigh. He had come at the right time. Song Jinyu wasn't in the bedroom, but in the bathroom. There was nothing special around her at the moment. It seemed that he had arrived in time. Song Jinyu was obviously safe and sound. The bedroom window was half open, but there was a metal fence. Wang Haoren pulled the fence open with brute force and entered the bedroom. Then, he straightened the fence again with brute force. Song Jinyu's suite wasn't big, so there were limited places to hide. Wang Haoren looked around and finally hid under the bed. Song Jinyu quickly came out of the shower and turned off the lights to rest. Wang Haoren hid under the dirty bed. His body was pressed against the cold floor, and he felt very uncomfortable. He hoped that he would find something tonight. Otherwise, Wang Haoren planned to turn the neighborhood upside down tomorrow until he found Old Eagle. Time passed quietly. Soon, it was 3 in the morning. Song Jinyu's light and even breathing could be heard in the room. She was sleeping quite soundly. Wang Haoren, on the other hand, was in trouble. He forced himself to stay awake. Time continued to pass. It was 3:30 in the morning. At that moment, there was the soft sound of a lock being unlocked outside the door. Wang Haoren quivered. He quickly pulled himself together and looked at the door with his X-ray vision. He saw a sneaky man at the door. He was using an iron wire to pry open the door lock. After a few seconds, the lock was unlocked. The sneaky man slipped into the room and quickly tiptoed to the bedroom. He didn't approach Song Jinyu first. Instead, he took out a gas mask and put it on. Then, he lit a cigarette and placed it in the bedroom. Looking at the sneaky man's actions, it was obvious that there was something wrong with the cigarette. It was probably sleeping gas. Wang Haoren didn't stop him immediately. Instead, he chose to hold his breath to avoid inhaling the sleeping gas. After all, he had sneaked into Song Jinyu's room. Even if he stopped the sneaky man, how could he explain it to Song Jinyu? Chapter 98. After the smoke drifted in the room for a while, the sneaky man swaggered into the room and laughed heartily. Hee. Hiding all over the place for so many days has been unbearable. I can finally relax. This sneaky man was Old Eagle. He was a rather perverted person who would not be satisfied without a woman every night. After hiding all over the place for the past few days, he was about to suffocate to death. This morning, he had inadvertently discovered a great beauty in the neighborhood. After asking around, he learned that she was a teacher who lived alone. Old Eagle could not help but be tempted. But for safety's sake, he chose to wait until dawn to make his move. After all, this was the time when people were most deeply asleep. He had successfully snuck in and used sleeping gas to ensure that this beautiful teacher would not wake up for the time being. Let's take her out of here first. Old Eagle muttered to himself as he fumbled around the room for the light switch. This woman was truly too beautiful. Old Eagle did not want to stop after using her once. He wanted to have more of her. Taking this woman out of here was the best method. If he made his move here, he would only be able to enjoy himself for the time being, but his tracks would be exposed. Because he could not guarantee that this woman would not scream after the sleeping gas wore off. He would take this woman to a place where even the heavens and earth would not respond to her cries. At that time, he would be able to do whatever he wanted. After fumbling around for a while, Old Eagle finally found the switch. Click! The room instantly lit up. But contrary to Old Eagle's expectations, other than the unconscious woman, there was also a boy who was not even 20 years old standing in the room. And what made Old Eagle tremble in fear was that the other party was even smiling at him. Who are you? Old Eagle asked in shock. Sorry, you don't have the right to ask. Wang Haoren kicked Old Eagle's crotch. Ding! Host intercepted Xiao Yifeng and saved female lead Song Jinyu. Reward: 300 villain points. Xiao Yifeng's protagonist Halo -10. Host's villain Halo +10. Old Eagle fainted from the pain. This kick was not light. Old Eagle would have to abstain from lust forever. Wang Haoren crouched down and slapped Old Eagle 10 times to wake him up. Cold sweat dripped down Old Eagle's forehead as he stared in fear at Wang Haoren. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Answer whatever I ask. Do you understand? Wang Haoren said calmly. Understood. Old Eagle nodded. Where are you taking this woman? Wang Haoren pointed at the unconscious Song Jinyu and asked Old Eagle. Take me to an abandoned factory. Hearing this, Wang Haoren secretly complained. Trap! It was another trap. Xiao Yifeng was standing guard at the security booth at the entrance of the residential area. It wasn't like Old Eagle could leap onto roofs and vault over walls. If he really wanted to take Song Jinyu away, he would have to pass by the entrance of the neighborhood. At that time, he would definitely run into Xiao Yifeng. As a result, the role of the hero saving the damsel in distress fell on Xiao Yifeng's head. Who ordered you to kidnap Qin Yunhan, the daughter of the Qin group? Wang Haoran asked directly. I don't know. After answering, Old Eagle received another blow to his crotch. He screamed and fainted. In less than a minute, Wang Haoran woke him up with another slap. Who ordered you to kidnap Qin Yunhan, the daughter of the Qin group? Wang Haoran repeated the question. I really don't know. Old Eagle fainted again, but was quickly woken up again. Who ordered you to kidnap Qin Yunhan, the daughter of the Qin group? Wang Haoran repeated the question again. Don't do it yet. Let me finish. Old Eagle said in a shrill voice. Wang Haoran's foot stopped in midair. Old Eagle was so scared that his soul almost flew out of his body. He quickly said, It was a woman. When we met, she was wearing a veil, so I couldn't see what she looked like. However, I remember that she had a red mole between her eyebrows, and she had phoenix eyes. From the crow's feet at the corner of her eyes, she should be around 40 years old. After saying this, Old Eagle added, Believe me, I really don't know that person. Wang Haoran pondered for a moment before kicking out his leg that was suspended in the air. Old Eagle screamed in pain and fainted again. But this time, Wang Haoran didn't continue to wake him up. The reason he asked so many times and kicked so hard was to verify if Old Eagle was lying. Old Eagle's words matched, so it seemed that he was telling the truth. However, the information of a woman around 40 years old with phoenix eyes and a red mole between her eyebrows was too general. Trying to find such a woman in Qingling City with this information was like finding a needle in a haystack. However, it was better to have this information than nothing. Wang Haoran gathered his thoughts and glanced at the unconscious Old Eagle. He didn't intend for Old Eagle to pass on this information to Xiao Yifeng. Although it was only general information, there was no need for Xiao Yifeng to know. Wang Haoran used his true qi to press down on Old Eagle's head. Using the knowledge he had gained from the Supreme Poison Sutra, Wang Haoran had already destroyed a small part of Old Eagle's brain structure. When Old Eagle woke up, he would become a fool and wouldn't remember anything. After doing all this, Wang Haoran inspected Song Jinyu's body and discovered that she had only fainted from the effects of the sleeping gas. She would naturally wake up at daybreak when the effects of the sleeping gas dissipated. Since Song Jinyu was unconscious, it was a good opportunity to take advantage of her. However, Wang Haoran disdained to do such a thing. He was a supervillain, so he had to act cool. He could coerce the female lead, but taking advantage of her while she was unconscious was too disgusting. Moreover, it was very boring. After all, Song Jinyu wouldn't move or cooperate with him. It was too boring. Only those soy sauce villains would do such a thing. For example, this Old Eagle. Taking advantage of the fact that the sky was still dark, Wang Haoran carried Old Eagle away from the neighborhood surveillance cameras and threw him near the garden. Then, he climbed over the wall and left the neighborhood. Before leaving, Wang Haoran used his X-ray vision to look at the neighborhood's entrance from afar. Xiao Yifeng was still foolishly waiting for him at the security booth. Wang Haoran secretly smiled and returned to the hotel. It was already 4 in the morning. Wang Haoran's interest in experiencing the corrupt lifestyle of the rich was gone. He dialed Wan Jing's number and went back to her place to rest before daybreak. However, after lying in bed, Wang Haoran didn't immediately close his eyes. Instead, he opened his status panel to take a look. Host, Wang Haoran Combat Strength, 1099 Charisma, 268 Villain Aura, 841 Villain Points, 3500 Skills, Grandmaster Level Painting and Calligraphy Copying, Master Level Combat Wing Chun, Grandmaster Level Singing, Oscar Level Acting, X-Ray Vision, Advanced Poison Skills, Top-Notch Hacking, 18 Years of Internal Energy. Chapter 99. Wang Haoran had been secretly keeping track of the aura points he had taken from Xiao Yifeng. So far, the total number of aura points he had taken was 165. Xiao Yifeng's initial aura points was 726. Subtracting the aura points that he had taken, It was easy to determine that Xiao Yifeng's current aura points was 561. His villain aura had reached 841. In terms of aura points, he had surpassed Xiao Yifeng by 280. It was time to deal with Xiao Yifeng once and for all. Spending 3,000 villain points to exchange for 6 years' worth of aura points to increase his combat strength by 270 was a good choice. However, this method was not reliable. Xiao Yifeng's combat strength of 983 was not weak. Even if Wang Haoren increased his combat strength, he was not absolutely sure that he could kill Xiao Yifeng. He might even alert Xiao Yifeng and let him escape. That would be a big problem. It was better to use poison. Using venerable level poison technique was the best choice. Even Xiao Yifeng's master level medicine could not resist it. If he used it to deal with Xiao Yifeng, it would be a huge blow. However, he still needed 4,000 villain points to upgrade his advanced poison technique to venerable level poison technique. He only had 3,500 villain points now. He still needed 500. Where would he get 500 villain points in such a short time? There seemed to be a female protagonist next door who could be used to farm villain points. She could provide 500 villain points at a time. With this thought in mind, he naturally did as he said. Ding! The host has taken one of the female protagonists, Fong Xian. Gained 500 villain points. Fong Hung protagonist, aura, minus 25. Fong Xian female protagonist, aura, minus 25. Host's villain, aura, plus 50. Wang Haoren received the reward as he wished. He had accumulated 4,000 villain points and upgraded his advanced poison technique to venerable level poison technique in one go. After upgrading his poison technique to venerable level, Wang Haoren clearly felt that his understanding of poison technique had become more profound. If advanced poison mastery could be compared to comprehending the cultural knowledge of a high school student, then supreme poison mastery could be compared to comprehending the knowledge of a doctoral advisor. The difference between the two was like a chasm. Wang Haoren digested the newly comprehended knowledge and quickly found a poison to deal with Xiao Yifeng from the supreme poison scripture. However, some of the materials needed to make this poison were very rare, and Wang Haoren didn't have the time to collect these materials. After thinking about it, Wang Haoren would definitely find an obedient errand boy. At present, Zuiqiu Chun was clearly the best candidate. Firstly, her life was in his hands, and she would definitely not reveal anything about him. Secondly, she had so many underlings under her, so it was convenient for her to do things. The next day at dawn, the residents of the Tianxi neighborhood woke up early to go to work. When they were walking, they found an unconscious and injured person lying on the ground and almost tripped over him. This resident was so frightened that he screamed loudly, causing quite a commotion. Xiao Yifeng hadn't slept the entire night, so his nerves were very sensitive. When he heard the commotion, he immediately ran over to take a look and found that the unconscious, injured person was the old eagle he was looking for. He immediately woke old eagle up, wanting to interrogate him about a few things. However, old eagle's eyes were dull and lifeless after he woke up. Xiao Yifeng felt that something was off, so he immediately checked and found old eagle's abnormality. He couldn't help but be bewildered. Not long after, Ling Duanya brought people over. Xiao Yifeng didn't want to cause trouble, so he left before Ling Duanya saw him. After leaving the Tianxi neighborhood, Xiao Yifeng ate breakfast, then went directly to the Qin group. "Did you find Old Eagle?" Qin Kai immediately asked when he saw Xiao Yifeng in the office. "I found him, but I didn't get anything out of him," Xiao Yifeng said regretfully. "Why is that?" An expert with profound inner strength destroyed Old Eagle's brain. Old Eagle has now become a retard, so I can't get anything out of him. So something like that actually happened. Qin Kai's face was full of shock. I'm guessing that the expert's inner strength isn't weak, and he has a deep understanding of the human body. He might even be skilled in medicine. Xiao Yifeng's expression was somewhat solemn. What's this inner strength expert's goal? Why would he attack Old Eagle? Could this person be related to the mastermind? Qin Kai couldn't help but guess. Turning Old Eagle into a retard is probably a move to silence him. The way I see it, this inner strength expert must be related to the mastermind, Xiao Yifeng deduced. Compared to this inner strength expert, who's better? Qin Kai couldn't help but ask. If I find this person, I'll definitely be able to capture him alive. Xiao Yifeng smiled confidently. According to his judgment, this person might have some inner strength, but it should be the shallow kind. How could he be a match for him? Hearing Xiao Yifeng's words, Qin Kai couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. But very quickly, he frowned again. Now that old Eagle's clues were cut off, there was no way to find out the mastermind's identity. As long as the mastermind wasn't found, his daughter would be in danger. After thinking about it, Qin Kai took out 3 documents from the drawer of his desk. Yifeng, investigate these 3 people. This is... Xiao Yifeng was somewhat confused. The people who want to kidnap Yunhan are most likely my business enemies. These are the 3 people I've selected from my business enemies who are most likely to deal with me. Qin Kai handed over the files. Xiao Yifeng reached out to take the files and started flipping through them. Qin Kai explained, these 3 people are in the real estate industry. They're all real estate tycoons with a net worth of more than $2 billion. They entered the industry much earlier than me and made a fortune more than 10 years ago. But with the development of my Qin's real estate, their business space has been squeezed, so they've always hated me to the core. Why are these tycoons all so greasy and fat? They're just 3 greasy uncles. Xiao Yifeng couldn't help but laugh after looking at the files. Of course they're rich. Plus, they're getting fat in their middle age, so naturally they're like this. Qin Kai chuckled. As a tycoon in the business world, Qin Kai was much more disciplined. Although he was in his 40s, other than the uncontrollable wrinkles on his face, his figure and hair were well maintained. He wasn't bald or fat. Yunhan usually stays in school during classes. She won't run around, so there shouldn't be any problems. Take this time to investigate these 3 people, Qin Kai said. Won't run around? Your daughter went to a bar with a boy last night. Hearing Qin Kai's words, Xiao Yifeng couldn't help but secretly ridicule him. He really wanted to tell Qin Kai about Qin Yunhan going to a bar. But he was afraid that Qin Yunhan would hate him even more if she found out later, so he endured it. After all, he promised Qin Yunhan that he wouldn't tell Qin Kai about this. Uncle Qin, Miss and Wang Howard are very close. I think you need to find time to persuade her. He couldn't tell Qin Yunhan about going to the bar, but Xiao Yifeng still wanted to destroy the relationship between Qin Yunhan and Wang Howard. Otherwise, if Miss and Wang Howard continued to get along like this, something would definitely happen. Miss was his. He absolutely couldn't let Wang Howard take her away. Chapter 100. Yunhan and Howard have known each other for a long time. It's normal for them to be close. Hearing Xiao Yifeng's words, Qin Kai said matter-of-factly, Uncle Qin, I'm talking about walking very close. It's not the kind of closeness between friends, but the kind of closeness between lovers. Xiao Yifeng straightforwardly said, Yunhan and Howard like each other? Qin Kai was shocked at first, then he smiled with relief. Yunhan is also an adult. It's normal for her to have these thoughts. Howard is a very good child. Hearing this, Xiao Yifeng's face almost turned black. Qin Kai's attitude obviously didn't oppose the relationship between Qin Yunhan and Wang Howard. From his expression, there was a faint trend of support. But then again, Wang Howard and Qin Yunhan were well matched in terms of social status. One was a handsome man, and the other was a beautiful woman. It was indeed a match made in heaven. But Xiao Yifeng would definitely hold a strong opinion against it. Since Uncle Qin has no opinion, then I'll take it that I'm a villain for nothing. Although Xiao Yifeng was very unhappy in his heart, he didn't show it on the surface. He wanted to steal Miss Yunhan, but he definitely couldn't let Qin Kai know about this. Otherwise, Qin Kai would kick him out in minutes. Yifeng, I still have things to do here, so I won't entertain you. Qin Kai saw that the assistant reminded him that he was about to have a meeting, so he said to Xiao Yifeng, Uncle Qin, then I'll go investigate these 3 people and the information. Xiao Yifeng nodded and then left the office. After leaving the Qin group, Xiao Yifeng didn't follow what he told Qin Kai to investigate the 3 real estate bosses who were suspected to be the masterminds behind the scenes. The reason why Qin Kai asked him to be a bodyguard was because Qin Yunhan was in danger. If Qin Yunhan's danger was resolved, then he could also retire. So Xiao Yifeng wasn't in a hurry to investigate. What he was most afraid of now was that Miss Yunhan would be taken advantage of by Wang Haoren. Xiao Yifeng was still able to tolerate holding hands and so on. But if there was another kiss or something more outrageous, Xiao Yifeng absolutely couldn't stand it. Since Qin Kai didn't do it, then he could only do it. Xiao Yifeng also thought of a way to deal with Wang. To prevent a man from seducing a woman, the best way was to make the man lose his ability in that aspect. The ancients had already given an excellent way to do this, so a special profession was born: eunuch. Of course, Xiao Yifeng didn't intend to cut him off directly, because it would make too much noise. It was better to make him lose his ability without anyone noticing. Xiao Yifeng believed that with his medical skills, few people in the world could cure Wang Haoren. After making up his mind, Xiao Yifeng went directly to school, ready to find an opportunity to kill Wang Haoren. During the evening self-study class, Sister Yunhan, I'm going home to visit my grandfather after the evening self-study class. Is Grandpa Mu okay? He had a heat stroke because he exercised too much in the sun during the day. He's much better now, but I still want to go back. After all, I haven't been back for too long. That's good. Qin Yunhan was a little relieved, but soon her face fell. If that's the case, won't I have to sleep alone tonight? Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao had lived together for several years, so she was used to it. Besides, she was afraid of the dark. Now that she suddenly had to sleep alone, she couldn't help but feel a little scared. It's okay. Just turn off the lights and close your eyes. When you wake up, it'll be tomorrow. Mu Zhaozhao comforted her. I'm afraid I won't even be able to sleep. Qin Yunhan was a little depressed. Why don't you ask a female classmate to go over? That way you won't be afraid. Mu Zhaozhao gave a suggestion. Forget it. I'm only used to living with you. Qin Yunhan shook her head and refused. Then, she mustered up her courage. It's just one night anyway. I should be able to do it. Qin Yunhan will be alone tonight. Wang Haoren heard the conversation between Qin Yunhan and Mu Zhaozhao through his earphones. He couldn't help but feel moved. He was worried that he wouldn't have a good opportunity to get close to Qin Yunhan, and now the opportunity suddenly presented itself. Looks like the heavens are on my side. If I don't take action, I'll be letting down the heavens. The 3 periods of self-study ended quickly, and the students left the classroom one after another. Qin Yunhan carried a few books and walked toward the teacher's dormitory. After a while, she came to the door of the dormitory and took out the key to open the door. Qin Yunhan? Not far away, a call suddenly came from the side. Qin Yunhan tilted her head and saw Wang Haoren walking over. He was carrying a plastic bag in his hand, and there was a fragrance wafting out from it. Qin Yunhan sniffed and quickly identified that it was the aroma of food. Why are you here? Qin Yunhan asked happily. I packed some supper. Do you want to eat? Wang Haoren waved the things in his hand. Class just ended. Why did you pack supper so quickly? Qin Yunhan asked in surprise. I finished class early and went outside. Wang Haoren actually asked the driver to pack the supper. Qin Yunhan believed him, and even felt a bit moved. He skipped class to buy supper for her. He was too good to her. Ding! The host has touched the heart of one of the female leads. Qin Yunhan received 100 villain points. Come in. Qin Yunhan opened the door. Qin Yunhan walked in and put the supper on the small table in the room. Where's Mu Zhaozhao? Wang Haoren asked knowingly. She went home tonight. Is that so? I packed a lot of food. Looks like you'll have enough to eat by yourself. Wang Haoren smiled and opened all 9 boxes. With so much food, it would be good if Qin Yunhan could eat a third of it. You packed so much. How can I eat it all by myself? Qin Yunhan couldn't help but ask. Are you hungry? A bit. Then let's eat together. Okay. Wang Haoren was waiting for Qin Yunhan to invite him. After that, he closed the door behind him. Qin Yunhan didn't feel anything wrong with this. This was the teacher's dormitory. There would be people passing by from time to time. Qin Yunhan was also afraid that the teacher would see her eating supper with a boy in the dormitory. Plus, she was guilty, so she was even more afraid of people seeing her and Wang Haoren in private. Wang Haoren took out his phone and opened a sadomasochistic romance movie. Eating supper with Qin Yunhan while watching a movie. Eating and watching at a very slow speed. Plus, in order to maintain her elegance, Qin Yunhan was very particular when eating, so she ate even more slowly. Unknowingly, they finished watching a 90-minute movie, but they still hadn't finished their supper. But Qin Yunhan was also very full, so she didn't want to continue eating. It's already 11. Wang Haoran looked at the time on his phone and pretended to be surprised. Yeah, it's already so late. Qin Yunhan smiled and sighed. It was a very enjoyable thing to watch a movie while eating with the person you liked. Unknowingly, time flew by. Chapter 101. Qin Yunhan still wanted to spend more time with Wang Haoran, but it was too late. I'll call my driver. Wang Haoran picked up his phone and dialed a fake number. He put the phone next to his ear, then put it down after a while. No one's picking up. Qin Yunhan saw that Wang Haoran didn't seem to be picking up, so she asked. Yeah, I don't know what the driver is doing. Wang Haoran's face was full of worry. It's already so late, and there are almost no taxis on the road outside the school. Looks like I'll have to walk back. Where do you live? Qin Yunhan asked. Lishui Villa. Lishui Villa was in the wealthy district of Qingling City, and it was about a 20-minute drive from here. If he walked, it would take him until the wee hours of the morning. It's too far to walk. How can that be? Qin Yunhan was also worried about Wang Haoran. Why don't I stay here for a night? I'll sleep on the floor. Wang Haoran felt that it was time. This. Qin Yunhan hesitated. I just want to talk to you more. Since you're worried, I'll just walk back. Wang Haoran looked lonely as he walked towards the door. Wait. Qin Yunhan couldn't bear it, so she stopped Wang Haoran. It's not that I'm worried about you, but I was scared just now. You can stay here for a night. She was afraid of the dark, but if there was someone next to her, then she wouldn't be so afraid. Moreover, she actually wanted to spend more time with Wang Haoran. It was just that she was too shy to say it out loud. You can sit anywhere. I'm going to take a shower. Qin Yunhan grabbed some clothes with a red face and went to the shower. It was summer now, and it would be uncomfortable if she didn't take a shower for a day. Qin Yunhan, who loved cleanliness, couldn't bear to rest without taking a bath. Seeing that Qin Yunhan had temporarily disappeared from his sight, Wang Haoran could not help but secretly smile. Not going back to sleep on the floor was the first step of the plan. The next step was, the floor is so cold. Let's sleep on the bed. We'll each take one side and mind our own business. I can't sleep. Let me hold your hand. I'll see you in my dreams. I still can't do it. I'll just hug you. My hand is right here, and I won't move it. Let me take a look, just a look. I promise it's just rubbing, definitely just rubbing. Then, when the conditions are right, success will follow naturally. There was only such a trick. According to Qin Yunhan's undying favorable impression of him, she would most likely be tricked by him. Wang Haoran was bored while waiting, so he activated his X-ray vision to take a look. Originally, he wanted to know how long it would take for Qin Yunhan to finish showering, but his eyes inadvertently caught sight of Xiao Yifeng, who was eavesdropping in the teacher's dormitory next door. Wang Haoran was shocked. The room next door was Song Jinyu's room, but it was very small and the basic facilities were not complete. Therefore, Song Jinyu only occasionally took a nap here in the afternoon. At night, she would not be here. This Xiao Yifeng was indeed worthy of being the main character. He had some ability. He actually went next door to eavesdrop without anyone noticing. Xiao Yifeng was eavesdropping with his ear against the wall. His face was angry, and there were finger marks on the wall. This guy looked very angry. He must have been eavesdropping for quite a while. He knew about the conversation between Qin Yunhan and himself. Naturally, he was fed a lot of dog food. It would be strange if he wasn't angry. This guy's a bit of a hindrance here. Wang Haoran suddenly felt a little annoyed. Zuoqiu Qinyu had not prepared the materials to deal with Xiao Yifeng's poison. Naturally, he could not use the poison to deal with Xiao Yifeng. If they were to directly fight head-on, they would be able to defeat Xiao Yifeng. But this would definitely cause quite a commotion. In that case, his plan to trick Qin Yunhan would definitely fail. After thinking about it, Wang Haoran decided to act according to the circumstances. This Xiao Yifeng might have followed him here, or he might have come for Qin Yunhan. But no matter the former or the latter, he would definitely make a move. Wang Haoren did not believe that this guy could stand next door and eavesdrop for an entire night. After a while, Qin Yunhan finally came out. I'm going to take a shower too. Wang Haoren smiled and walked into the shower room. The weather was very hot. He had sweated during the day, and his body was sticky. It was uncomfortable to sleep, so he definitely had to take a shower. He did not have a change of clothes, but it did not matter. After all, he was here to do something big. After walking into the shower room, Wang Haoren did not immediately turn on the water. Instead, he used his X-ray vision to monitor Xiao Yifeng's actions. After sticking to the wall for a while, he suddenly pulled a towel to cover his face. Then, he sneaked out of the room next door. After making sure that there was no one outside, he knocked on Qin Yunhan's door. "Who is it?" Qin Yunhan asked. "I'm Chi-sensei. Can you open the door? I don't have any paper towels in my room. I'd like to borrow some from you." The voice that replied sounded like that of a middle-aged woman. Wang Haoren used his X-ray vision and saw that the person who spoke was Xiao Yifeng. F***CK. This main character is really good at acting. He even knows how to fake a woman's voice. On the other side, Qin Yunhan did not know who this Chi-sensei was, but she could tell from the voice that it was a woman. She did not take any precautions. She took a pack of paper towels, moved the door a little, and handed the paper towels out. She wanted to send this Chi-sensei away. After all, Wang Haoren was here. Qin Yunhan naturally did not want to be discovered by others and gossip would spread. However, before Qin Yunhan could see the other party, a hand reached in through the gap in the door. Then, it touched her shoulder. Qin Yunhan felt sleepy, and she fainted on the ground. Xiao Yifeng hurried into the room and closed the door. "What is he doing?" Wang Haoren, who noticed Xiao Yifeng's movements in the shower room, could not help but feel puzzled. He continued to watch. He saw Xiao Yifeng walking toward the shower room. He took out a silver needle and then reached out to knock on the door. Wang Haoren opened the door. The voice was 90% similar to Qin Yunhan's. Continue to show off. He can even imitate Qin Yunhan's voice. Wang Haoren secretly complained about Xiao Yifeng. With his current combat strength, he could defeat Xiao Yifeng in a head-on battle. However, the possibility of killing him was very slim. The best-case scenario for a head-on battle was that Xiao Yifeng escaped with serious injuries. However, Xiao Yifeng had medical skills. He could treat himself, so there was not much point in doing so. Moreover, if he could not finish off Xiao Yifeng in one go, he would be on guard. It was better to find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Wang Haoren quickly made a decision. Wang Haoren, open the door. I brought a towel for you to wipe your body. Outside the door, Xiao Yifeng actually imitated Qin Yunhan's voice and acted coquettishly. Wang Haoren almost vomited on the spot when he heard that. Can you be any more disgusting than this protagonist? It's enough to pretend to be a woman. How dare you act coquettishly like a woman? Chapter 102. Okay, I'll open the door right away. Wang Haoren pretended not to notice. He gently moved the door open while using his X-ray vision to observe Xiao Yifeng's movements. He saw Xiao Yifeng put his fingers together to make a pressure point gesture. Obviously, he wanted to use the same method he had used on Qin Yunhan to knock her out by hitting her acupoints. It was a good choice to sneak attack Xiao Yifeng before he made a move, but Xiao Yifeng seemed to be very cautious. It was not safe. Wang Haoren decided to give up. Xiao Yifeng reached in and hit Wang Haoren's pressure point. Wang Haoren secretly blocked it with his true chi and pretended to faint, falling to the floor. He was waiting for a perfect opportunity to make Xiao Yifeng lose the ability to resist. Seeing Wang Haoren faint, Xiao Yifeng stood up and looked down. He sneered and said to himself, the young lady is mine. How dare you, rich second-generation heir, have ideas about the young lady? I'll destroy your ability as a man. Let's see if you still have the face to have ideas about the young lady. You asked for it. Damn, you're really something. You actually thought of such a method. Hearing Xiao Yifeng's muttering, Wang Haoren was secretly shocked. The protagonist was really a **king genius. He was also quite black-hearted. In order to steal the female lead, he wanted to use his medical skills to deal with him. You're a **king protagonist. You're a good character. Medical skills were to save lives and heal the injured, not to be used on crooked practices. But thinking back in those urban novels, there were indeed some protagonists who were black-hearted, but mainly targeted at the villains. As a reader, when they read the novels, they would not feel that the protagonist was black-hearted. They would even feel that the protagonist should do this. After the protagonist dealt with the villains, he would even feel quite good. However, as a villain, Wong Howren did not feel good at all. Damn, I'll kill him with a sneak attack. Wong Howren immediately had this idea. He had X-ray vision. Although his eyelids were closed, he could actually see Xiao Yifeng's movements. After a few glances, Wong Howren suddenly felt a little distressed. Xiao Yifeng's body was in a defensive posture, and there was almost no chance for him to launch a sneak attack. Of course, Wong Howren did not think that Xiao Yifeng knew that he was faking it. His defensive posture was obviously a subconscious action, a kind of combat experience. Even when facing someone who didn't seem to be dangerous, his body was always in a defensive posture. After thinking about it, Wong Howren decided to beat him at his own game. Xiao Yifeng slowly squatted down and inserted the silver needle into Wong Howren's kidney. A surge of true qi slowly seeped into the silver needle. Wong Howren understood that he was borrowing the silver needles to channel his true qi and wanted to use the true qi to destroy his ability. Wong Howren was not afraid at all. In terms of the density of his true qi, he was stronger than Xiao Yifeng. Soon, Xiao Yifeng withdrew the needle. I'm really looking forward to seeing the expression on your face when you realize that you can't do it. But it's too late now. I have to go back, and I won't be able to enjoy your wonderful expression. Xiao Yifeng's smile was very bright. However, what he didn't know was that while he was talking, the true qi he channeled into Wong Howren through the silver needles had been completely removed by Wong Howren. Xiao Yifeng opened the door and looked outside. Seeing that there was no one outside, he closed the door and quickly left the teaching building, his body blending into the night. Xiao Yifeng thought that Wong Howren couldn't do it, so of course, he was relieved that Wong Howren and Qin Yunhan were alone. Wong Howren only wanted to laugh at this. He stood up from the ground and shook Qin Yunhan awake. What happened to me? Qin Yunhan said in a daze. Someone barged in just now and knocked me out. Are you okay? Wong Howren pretended to be half asleep. Yes, I remember now. It's that Qi-sensei. Qin Yunhan quickly woke up and remembered what happened before she fainted. No, it's not that Qi-sensei. It's Xiao Yifeng. I saw his face when I fainted and was in a daze, Wong Howren said in an affirmative tone. It's that country bumpkin Xiao Yifeng. But why did he knock us out? Qin Yunhan said angrily. It must be because of me. Look at my waist. Qin Yunhan took a closer look and found a small bloody hole in his skin. It seemed that he had just been pricked with a needle. What's going on? She asked in a panic. When I was in a daze, I felt him pricking my waist with a silver needle. At this point, Wong Howren's expression suddenly became pained. In the past, I've read some medical books. It said that a person with great medical skills can use a silver needle to destroy a man's normal ability. I think Xiao Yifeng must be jealous that I'm too close to you. That's why. Before he could finish, Wong Howren was already choking and could not continue. That damn country bumpkin. How dare he do such a thing to you? Qin Yunhan was burning with anger. I'll tell my dad about this and let him deal with him. Don't. Wong Howren had a miserable look on his face. If this matter were spread out, how am I going to face others in the future? Furthermore, I don't have any conclusive evidence. Xiao Yifeng can just deny it. But are we going to let that country bumpkin go just like that? Qin Yunhan was conflicted and angry. Of course, I don't want to let him go. But since it's already happened, there's nothing I can do. I've lost my ability as a man. I don't want to live anymore. Wong Howren's face was ashen. No, don't. You have to be strong. Qin Yunhan was so anxious that tears came out of her eyes. She comforted him. Your family is so rich, and you have a bright future. You can't give up on yourself like this. If I can't be with the girl I love, what's the use of being rich? I might as well die. Wong Howren sighed deeply. Hearing this, Qin Yunhan felt like her heart was being cut by a knife, because she had directly replaced Wang Howren's beloved girl with herself. No, I'll be with you. I'll marry you in the future. We'll never be apart for the rest of our lives. Qin Yunhan was afraid that he would take things too hard, so she put down her reservations and shyness and immediately expressed her feelings. Really? But you despise me? Haven't you heard of platonic love? When two people who love each other deeply are together, it doesn't have to be like that. Qin Yunhan said with a red face. But I don't want it to be platonic love. Wang Howren felt that his acting was enough, and his emotions were in place, so he changed the topic. I've read in a medical book that after being injected with needles, it will take 3 days for it to fully take effect. In other words, I'll lose that ability after 3 days. How about? Qin Yunhan was stunned, and her face quickly turned red. Of course, she understood the meaning behind Wang Howren's words. It was just that this was a little too sudden. She was not mentally prepared at all. However, on second thought, Wang Howren was already like this. If she rejected him, wouldn't it hurt his heart too much? What if he sought death again? Moreover, she had already made up her mind to marry Wang Howren in the future. Since that was the case, why not leave a memento while Wang Howren was still capable? It was better than being a virgin until old age, right? Howren, can you say that you love me? I want to hear it. Qin Yunhan wanted to make it feel more ritualistic. After all, Wang Howren had never confessed to her before. As a villain, lying was just a basic operation. Wang Howren immediately confessed with deep affection. Yunhan, I love you. I'll love you for the rest of my life. I'll love you forever. Qin Yunhan only felt that these words were sincere. She felt as if her heart was about to melt. Brother Howren, I love you too. I'll love you for the rest of my life. I'll love you forever. I'll love you forever. Chapter 103. Ding, the host has captured one of the female leads Qin Yunhan for the first time. Gained 1,000 villain points. Xiao Yifeng protagonist aura -50. Qin Yunhan female lead aura -50. Host villain aura +100. Ding, one of the female leads Qin Yunhan's favorability towards the host has increased by 15. Current favorability is 90, unchanging until death. Ding, the host has influenced the plot, gained 300 villain points. Wang Howren received a large wave of rewards as he wished. Looking down, Qin Yunhan was in his arms. At the corner of her eyes, there were 2 faint traces of tears. These were tears of happiness. The next day, Xiao Yifeng came to the Qin group. Yifeng, how's the investigation of the 3 real estate owners going? Qin Kai asked directly. I haven't found anything wrong for now, but I'll continue to investigate. If anyone makes any strange movements, I'll definitely find out. Xiao Yifeng started to talk nonsense. He was focused on dealing with Wang Howren last night and didn't investigate the 3 suspicious real estate owners at all. Qin Kai didn't suspect anything, but he suddenly changed the topic and asked, Right, you said before that you saw Yunhan and Howren walking very close, right? Yes, I saw them holding hands very close. Xiao Yifeng said. Although he promised Qin Yunhan that he wouldn't tell Qin Kai about going to the bar, he didn't promise Qin Yunhan that he wouldn't say anything else. It seems that I need to find a time to have a good talk with Yunhan. Qin Kai sighed. Hearing this, Xiao Yifeng couldn't help but be happy, but at the same time, he was a bit confused. Uncle Qin, didn't you have the attitude of letting nature take its course before? Why did you suddenly change your mind? I was chatting with an old friend of mine yesterday, and heard him complain that his daughter, who isn't even 20 years old, was knocked up by a boy. So, Qin Kai didn't continue. However, he had obviously substituted that friend for himself. Qin Yunhan was also 18 years old. He was afraid that such a thing would happen to his daughter. Although he didn't object to his daughter falling in love, Qin Kai couldn't accept what happened to his friend. After all, Qin Yunhan was old enough to fall in love, but it was too early to have children. In addition, Qin Kai was a reputable figure in Qingling City. If his only daughter was pregnant before marriage, the reputation of the Qin group would be greatly affected. More importantly, he was worried that it would cause psychological harm to his daughter. At that time, It would be too late for regrets. After hearing this, Xiao Yifeng was slightly stunned, and then he couldn't help but smile and comfort him. Uncle Qin, you're worrying too much. That won't happen. He had already used the silver needle to guide his true qi into Wang Haoren's body. Now, Wang Haoren's function in that area was already gone. Even if Miss took the initiative, Wang Haoren wouldn't be able to do anything to her. Qin Kai's worries were completely groundless. Why are you so sure? Qin Kai was surprised by Xiao Yifeng's tone. Uncle Qin, didn't you say that Wang Haoren's character is very good? Even if he's in love with Miss, why would he do anything out of line? Also, Miss isn't a casual person. That's why I said that you don't have to worry about it, Uncle Qin. Of course, Xiao Yifeng couldn't tell the truth, so he made up a reason to explain. You're right. Haoren isn't likely to do such a thing. Also, although Yunhan is willful, she's a person who knows her limits. Qin Kai gradually relaxed. Chairman Qin, there's a woman in her 40s looking for you at the front desk. She didn't make an appointment and didn't say her name. She only said that she's from a place called Fengshi Mountain. The assistant came to the office and reported to Qin Kai. When Qin Kai heard the words, no appointment, in the first half of the sentence, he wanted the assistant to send her away. However, when he heard the words Fengshi Mountain in the second half, his body trembled and his expression changed drastically. Hurry up and bring her to see me, Qin Kai hurriedly said to his assistant. The assistant was shocked by Qin Kai's reaction. This was the first time he saw Qin Kai lose his composure. However, as an assistant, it was taboo to inquire about the boss's matters. Yes, Chairman Qin. The assistant hurriedly ran out to do his job. Uncle Qin, are you okay? Xiao Yifeng also felt that Qin Kai's expression was a little strange. After he asked this question, Qin Kai only came back to his senses after a long time and said, I'm fine. Xiao Yifeng was even more confused. Not long after, the assistant brought a middle-aged woman over. This middle-aged woman had a pair of phoenix eyes, an oval face, and a red mole between her eyebrows. Although she was a little old, judging from her figure and facial features, she should have been a beauty when she was young. No, it's not her. Yes, why is she here? After seeing this woman with phoenix eyes, Qin Kai sighed softly to himself. His face was filled with regret and disappointment. However, he quickly adjusted his mood. You said you're from Fengshi Mountain. Then who are you? What's your relationship with her? Qin Kai asked. My name is Feng Rong. I'm her sister. This time, I'm here on her behalf to see her daughter, the woman with phoenix eyes replied. Qin Kai nodded slightly. The people of Fengshi Mountain used Feng as their surname. His wife, Qin Yunhan's mother, was Feng Yun. However, due to some reasons, Feng Yun could not leave Fengshi Mountain. Qin Kai had been separated from his wife for 18 years. Is she okay? Qin Kai's eyes were filled with nostalgia. Sister's fine. You don't have to worry, Feng Rong replied faintly. She then asked, Where's sister's daughter? Since you've come from afar, let me be the host. I'll take you to see Yunhan later. Qin Kai wanted to ask Feng Rong more about his wife. With that, he instructed his assistant to find a hotel to settle Feng Rong down. She knows martial arts. After the assistant and Feng Rong left, Xiao Yifeng suddenly said to Qin Kai. Feng Rong did not deliberately hide herself. When she walked, her steps were light and her breathing was long and deep. It was obvious that she had cultivated inner force. It would be strange if Xiao Yifeng could not tell. Qin Kai nodded faintly. He was not surprised. I heard the old man mention Fengshi Mountain before. It's a secluded martial arts sect that has been passed down for 100 years. However, this sect has many rules. I didn't expect Uncle Qin's wife to be from a martial arts sect. Xiao Yifeng was very surprised. This was because such a secluded martial arts sect valued martial arts talent very much. Therefore, they interfered a lot in the selection of spouses for the sect members. Their purpose was to allow their descendants to inherit the talent from martial cultivation. Qin Kai was a businessman. Logically speaking, he should not have any conflicts with the people of Fengshi Mountain. It's a long story. Qin Kai sighed with a complicated tone, but he did not mention it. Xiao Yifeng saw Qin Kai's complicated expression and knew that there must be a story behind it. However, since Qin Kai did not want to talk about it, he did not ask further. Uncle Qin, other than protecting eldest miss, if there's anything else that you need me for in the future, feel free to let me know. Xiao Yifeng wanted to curry favor with the future father-in-law that he recognized, so he expressed his goodwill. Chapter 104. Qin Kai was delighted at first, but then he shook his head and said, "Maybe it'll be difficult for you to help. There's always someone better than you. Although Fengshi Mountain has many experts, they can't do whatever they want. For example, that Fengrong just now. Although his martial arts are not bad, if I want to attack him, he can subdue him in less than 3 moves." Xiao Yifeng was full of confidence. The old man was an expert in the world. Although he was alone, he was enough to suppress 99% of the hidden sects in the world. Xiao Yifeng relied on the old man's support. So how could he be afraid of Fengshi Mountain? Thank you, Yifeng. However, the most important thing now is to find the mastermind behind the premeditated kidnapping of Yunhan. Qin Kai laughed heartily. Night fell. In a bar with good business. At the end of the table, a man with neat short hair was swirling a glass of red wine. This man looked to be about 35 years old. He had a light stubble, and the outline of his face was very strong. There was an unruly expression on his face. He wore a white shirt, and the lines of his strong muscles were faintly discernible. Under his neck, where it was not covered by his clothes, a hideous round scar could be faintly seen. If someone with good eyesight saw it, they would definitely be able to tell that it was left behind by Mu Tsang after his injury healed. Other than that, there was also a wolf's tooth hanging on the man's neck, which added a wild charm to him. Overall, this man was not considered handsome, but he exuded a kind of masculine aura from head to toe, which was very manly. This kind of unruly man had a fatal attraction to some women. The unruly man only sat here for less than 5 minutes, and a few women with heavy makeup came over to strike up a conversation. However, the unruly man's standards were very high, and he was very picky. He did not like ordinary goods. At this moment, the unruly man was looking around. Or to be more precise, he was sizing up the women in the bar. He liked to be a hunter, not a prey. Not long after, he had his eyes on a woman. The woman looked to be 28 years old. She was not particularly good-looking, and her figure was slightly plump. If it was an ordinary boy, he would definitely not like this kind of woman. But for an old hand like him, he knew how wonderful that kind of woman was. The woman's expression was full of melancholy. On the ring finger of her right hand that was holding the wine glass, there was a huge diamond ring. Judging from the size of the diamond on the ring, it was at least 1,000,000. The arrogant man saw that there were 7 or 8 people in the bar who tried to strike up a conversation with this woman, but they were all rebuffed. The arrogant man immediately made some judgments about this woman. This woman came from a good family and did not lack money. She came here to get drunk, not to have fun. Moreover, the reason why women were troubled was mostly because of emotional problems. Dragging a virtuous woman into the water, persuading a woman who has fallen off the path to become a good man. This was the favorite thing for romantic men since ancient times. He was no exception. However, as an experienced man, he did not act immediately. Instead, he was waiting for an opportunity to strike up a conversation. Otherwise, he would only be rebuffed. Buzz, buzz, the phone on the table suddenly vibrated. The arrogant man picked up the phone and looked at the caller ID. He paused for a few seconds and reluctantly answered the call. "If you want me to go back, you'd better shut up," the arrogant man said faintly. "Those bastards in the Lucifer Mercenary Corps are too arrogant. In less than 3 months, the Bloodwolf Mercenary Corps that you founded may be disbanded. How can you still be so calm?" The voice on the other end of the phone was very impatient. "I'm going to retire. I don't want to care about those things." The arrogant man said calmly. "I really can't believe that this kind of word would come from the mouth of Blood Prison Wolf King, who is at the top of the mercenary list. Can I ask why?" The voice on the other end of the phone was full of disbelief. I'm going to get married soon." The arrogant man, who was called Blood Prison Wolf King by the person on the other end of the phone, said, "Are you kidding me? Which woman can hold the heart of Blood Prison Wolf King? The marriage arranged by the elders. As a junior, I should respect it," Wolf King casually explained. "In fact, He had not even seen the woman's face. What she looked like, how tall she was, he did not know. The only information he knew was that the woman's surname was Tang. When you were in Sinida Ridge in Country M, you were surrounded by more than 50 teams armed with heavy firearms. You annihilated them all by yourself. Who in the world can stop you? I don't believe that a marriage contract can bind Blood Prison Wolf King. The person on the other end of the phone said, the title of Blood Prison Wolf King is a thing of the past for me. My name is Yangwishan now, and I'm in Qingling City. Wolf King gradually lost his patience and said, if you want to drink with me, I'll welcome you. If you want to do something else, then you'll have to be prepared to lie in bed for 3 months. That's it. I'm not talking anymore. Yangwishan couldn't wait to hang up the phone, because he saw a few hooligans surrounding the woman he had taken a fancy to. No matter how the woman drove them away, the punks didn't leave. It was time for him to show off. Yangwishan drank the red wine in the glass in one gulp. A devilish smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Then he got up and walked toward the woman he liked. During the evening's self-study class, Sister Yunhan, without me accompanying you, did you fall asleep alone last night? Mu Zhaozhao asked with a smile. Of course I fell asleep. You're so afraid of the dark. I thought you wouldn't be able to sleep all night. Mu Zhaozhao joked. Didn't you say that I should lie in bed and close my eyes? That's what I did. I slept until I woke up naturally this morning. Qin Yunhan smiled. She was afraid of the dark, but she did fall asleep last night. She slept quite soundly. However, she was so tired that she fell asleep. Sister Yunhan, I'm so sad that you could fall asleep without me by your side. I tossed and turned last night and couldn't sleep at all. Mu Zhaozhao felt sorry for herself. It's okay. You still have to go home tonight. You'll get used to it after sleeping for one more night. Qin Yunhan said. Wang Haoran fooled her, saying that she would lose that ability in 3 days. He suggested that they spend more time together in the next few days so that they could have a good memory for the future. Qin Yunhan readily agreed. Of course, she couldn't let Mu Zhaozhao ruin the good thing. I went back to see Grandpa yesterday. I won't go back today. Mu Zhaozhao shook her head. Zhaozhao, you'd better go back to sleep tonight. Think about it. We can't always live together for the rest of our lives. We'll be separated one day. Now is the right time to get used to it. Otherwise, you won't be able to sleep when we're separated. Qin Yunhan tried to persuade her. Sister Yunhan, I don't want to be separated from you. I want to sleep with you for the rest of my life. Mu Zhaozhao smiled and held Qin Yunhan's arm. Are you stupid? I'll get married in the future. How can you sleep with me? Qin Yunhan poked her silly best friend's forehead with her finger. Mu Zhaozhao exclaimed and said in surprise, Sister Yunhan, how old are you? You're actually thinking about getting married. Aren't you ashamed? You're still laughing at me. Won't you get married for the rest of your life? Qin Yunhan retorted. I haven't thought about these things yet. Mu Zhaozhao shook her head. It doesn't matter. There's no hurry. You can think about it later. But I don't want to be separated from you. Mu Zhaozhao frowned, but suddenly her eyes lit up as if she thought of something. Sister Yunhan, how about this? I'll marry the same person as you in the future. Are you stupid? How can a man marry 2 wives? It's illegal. Qin Yunhan was stunned by Mu Zhaozhao's brain circuit. I'll marry you. I don't need to get a marriage certificate. I'll just be Sister Yunhan's husband's concubine. Mu Zhaozhao giggled. You're really? Qin Yunhan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What do you think? Mu Zhaozhao asked. Qin Yunhan was used to her best friend's neurotic behavior. She just thought that she was joking. Qin Yunhan was no longer in the mood to joke, so she returned to the topic and said to Mu Zhaozhao fiercely, You're going back to live tonight. Do you hear me? Okay. Mu Zhaozhao agreed, feeling wronged.